Welcome back. Love Boat Project number 42. Hello, everyone. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mike Robertson. Ahoy, Mike.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
It's funny, last week we talked about how we had to basically create our own Christmas episode because they didn't do one. This week, this is not a New Year's episode properly. You'll give the date, but it's definitely not December 31st, 1978.
No.
But man, did this feel like an end of the year episode.
Or end of the world episode. Good Lord. Oh,
There was a lot. It was funny. I was about to text you when I was watching it the first time. We had a similar text exchange the first episode of this season, which was also a two-parter, where I just felt like there was a lot going on. And I almost sent that same text, but I didn't want to get the spoilers again. And also, I was just overwhelmed. This was, whatever we get to, this was an overwhelming experience to watch this episode. So, positive or negative or whatever.
I'm at a loss. I don't even, like, if I would be the world's worst piece of litmus paper right now because I just got nothing after watching this episode. I was drained. It put me in a bad mood. It was noticeable.
Really?
Yeah, after I was done, I was sort of annoyed at the time it took to tell the amount of story that they told.
Well, that's fine. And I will say for our dear listeners, our noble host, it was my turn to do the notes, and the two-part episode notes are the worst. And our wonderful host volunteered to take them off my plate before he knew what he was getting into, I'm sure. And man, did I feel thankful for that.
Dodged a bullet. So it's always the two-parters because they don't have much. There is no need for this to be a 2-hour block of television. There wasn't enough meat on the bone. And that was my annoyance. I'm like, oh, we're going to cut back. We're going to cut back. My fingers were crossed from like another long dance scene. Come on. Let's eat
funny.
some time here.
This is the third two-parter that we've had. And we also had that 90-minute one, which kind of has the same idea, but it's like, you're going to get filler. It's obvious, but they've approached filler in many different ways. And this week was a fifth storyline that didn't need to exist for sure. And dancing. But that's been like that all season.
It really has. It really has. And I'll say this, one of the storylines I thought was over about 5 minutes into the show,
it was
actual
for me.
show.
I wonder if it's the same one.
I think I put the timestamp on it as well. So I know I'm excited to talk about this. So we are here to talk about the Love Boat season 2, episode number 18, titled Disco Baby, Alas, Poor Dwyer After the War, Ticket to Ride, and Itsy Bitsy.
Those credit titles just kept coming.
I know, and I expect to be like 7 more.
Well, it's funny because I marked this episode for a while just because of the fact that it's a two-parter and some of the storylines. I never even got to the other titles. I always stopped at the last Poor Dwyer. So as they kept going, and I'm like, wait a minute, Disco Baby. It's like, what?
Well, you gotta think, so the disco, the Ticket to Ride, and Itsy Bitsy are all related to the reunion.
Yes.
So really, this could have been, Poor Dwyer and the reunion.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Technically, the reunion itself does not have a storyline.
Correct.
Right. Which is funny because they didn't. That means, and there's no like overarching character like there was with O'Rourke.
Yeah.
I guess it's Julie in a way, but they didn't write it. They must have all written their individual stuff and just had an idea that it had to have some tie into the reunion. And we'll get into it. These guys were all clearly in the same place.
Oh,
like this was not one of those ones that was shot independently.
No. They were all.
Yeah.
Lot to talk about here. Original air date, February 3rd, 1979, from 9 to 11, probably because of the saucy content.
Oh, it was saucy. This is not for 8 o'clock guys.
No. Lucky for us, there were TV shows on at 8 o'clock that night.
Excellent.
CBS from 8 to 10, Mike, this got to go on the old Patreon right here. I'll tell you right now.
8 to 10. That's an
8 to
unusual
10.
time break. Okay.
It's a TV movie. Part
Excellent.
2. This is a doozy. It's called Mr. Horn.
Mr. Horn?
Mr. Horn.
Okay.
The story of the enigmatic frontier figure Tom Horn, whose colorful Wild West career encompassed the capture of the legendary Apache warrior Geronimo in the 1880s and a turn of the century life as a Wyoming bounty hunter. Starring
Boba Fett.
yeah, David Carradine, right? Richard Widmark and
That's
Richard
somebody.
Masur.
Okay,
David
Richard
Carradine.
Masur is the
I've
I
seen
think
his
he
name.
was Miss Romano's first boyfriend on One Day at a Time.
Oh. David Carradine. You could see
Richard
him as
Widmark is somebody.
he's been in some things.
Yeah.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, that
So
is wild. And by the way, lot of Western frontier history shows like the Centennial and
I'm
this.
sorry. Did you say
Are we back?
we're back?
Yeah, it's back to
Wait,
Colorado.
but we're back. We're back to Centennial. It's a big night. Let me finish out the CBS from 10 to
Yep.
11. Well, if you hate Mr. Horn Part 2, then you're going to love the next hour of television. 10 to 11, a gala party on the decks of the Queen Mary hosted by Liberace, a Valentine special. Yes.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. The Love Boat high school orgy wasn't enough for tonight.
How are they putting a Valentine special on the 3rd of February?
Well, because if there's something on the 10th of February, then they're busy.
They couldn't
You only got a
squeeze
couple
this in.
weeks.
It's because it's that Republican response. That's why the State of the Union, everything's getting weird.
Well, would you want it to be the Liberace Groundhog Day special?
I mean, Arbor Day, Liberace salutes all trees. It's an Arbor Day
This
special from the
is
deck of the Queen Mary.
powerhouse
Oh.
night of television.
But we're not. That's one channel, sir. Let's flip over to NBC from 9 to 11. Centennial.
Back in Colorado.
The
Excellent.
Winds of Death. It's called.
Oh no.
Tragedy stalks
Yeah.
a family of homesteaders who, like many of the immigrants to Centennial, were beat down by wind and drought. I don't know if you remember all the guest stars, but I'm just going to give you a few. This is a all-star lineup.
Well, I know Oh Poor Dwyer was in there at some point.
Mm-hmm. Robert Conrad.
Yep.
Richard Chamberlain.
Of course.
King of the miniseries.
Yep.
Dennis Weaver.
Weaves is in a lot of stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. Richard Crenna.
Wow.
He can eat things that make a billy goat puke. I love him.
We might need to do a Centennial Project.
I do think we need to
very
do a
boring.
Centennial Project.
It would be very boring.
Oh yeah, and then they started to build a house with wood.
It's like Winds of Death. You're never going to live up to that.
No,
you're just not going to live up to that title.
I think that's the name of the podcast. Winds of Death.
Winds of Death.
What is that about? Oh, Centennial. It's a Centennial podcast.
That's right. It's 24 hours about Colorado.
That's right.
I've never even, much like a cruise ship, I've never been to Colorado. So
I've only been once.
There you go. Your head.
Donald Pleasance, Andy Griffith, Alex Karras.
I think Harris was in the one we talked about previously, where
he was.
Again, they were killing Indians. They're always killing Indians in these miniseries.
They're clearing land and killing Indians.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Winds of Death, indeed.
It's awful. So our episode synopsis. Save the best for last. It's very IMDb. Julie's English teacher, a lonely alcoholic, is on board for Julie's class reunion.
Was he lonely?
I don't think he was lonely.
I don't think he was lonely.
At the reunion, Julie and her former boyfriend find they're still attracted to each other. That's the whole synopsis of this 15 storyline epic.
Not untrue.
I mean, It's like a
Uh,
weatherman saying, "Oh, there's 50% chance of rain tomorrow." Like, stop it. Stop it.
this felt like a Julie's Greatest Hits episode.
Whew. Uh, let's get into the guest stars. Number 1, Raymond Burr, as Malcolm Dwyer. I told you there's another podcast that talked about this episode for a grand total of 25 minutes, and they didn't even know who
How?
Raymond
I
Burr
think we've
was.
already talked for 25 minutes.
Yeah. They didn't know, like, "Oh, who's this? Who's this person?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You don't
Who's Raymond Burr?
who's Raymond Burr? Like, how are you?" Anyway,
That
9
podcast
seasons is
doesn't sound like it's worth listening to, Mike.
no, it's not worth listening to. We just give you more just, like, quantity. You know what I mean? We never even talked about the anyway,
We
9
give you the
seasons
quantity like it's Malcolm Dwyer at happy hour.
That's right. Just give me one of whatever. Give me a mule.
Give
Give me
me
a
a bunch,
screwdriver.
lots of whatever you got.
9 seasons is Perry Mason, of course. 26 Perry Mason TV shows or TV movies. I'm sorry. TV Guide named him the 44th of the 50 greatest TV stars of all time. He also appeared in 50 feature films. The man, I
He
mean, legend,
he
legend.
he and we have had a few of these this year. I always think of
Yeah.
Richard Mulligan, but he seemed like he decided, you know what? Going for this one. Just going to go for it. And I don't know how much
Go
of
for what he
that was
could.
Malcolm Dwyer and how much of that was Raymond Burr, but man, there are some scenes where he is just putting that sauce on it.
Yeah, he's really like in the begin, like the songs in the beginning, like when he's
That
supposed to be a little lit.
and
He
then
was better when he was a little lit.
there's one scene towards the
Mm.
end where he's definitely not lit and he puts it on. So just very impressed with Mr. Burr. That's probably was he in was he in Delirious or whatever what's the John Candy one where he's a soap opera writer?
Yes, he was. Yes, he
He
was.
was,
I know what
right?
you're
Yeah.
talking about.
So I think this is the most of like that I've seen Raymond
Yeah,
Burr.
I agree. Everything else is black and white. It's in a
Yeah.
courtroom. He's either Ironsides or Perry
Yeah.
Mason.
He's either winning a case or winning a case. And
That's
in
it.
this episode, he was drinking a case.
Yeah. A few cases. Michael Cole, what? As Mike Kelly. That's odd. Best known for his role on the TV crime drama The Mod Squad, 68 to 73.
This
Uh,
guy,
mm,
this guy was wasted in this episode because he was like, I'm going to put up 45 points tonight
he was
in
like,
this tiny role.
yeah, I got
You
nothing.
know,
I got nothing.
they got this. I actually didn't know who it was at first. And after I watched a little bit, I was like, I got to look this guy up. He is bringing the heat. And then I
Yeah, he
realized it was
was.
Mod Squad. He was
He was a little. He was a
underused.
little. He was a little loaded. Kim Darby plays a character named Wendy, who apparently it's like Wendy and Lisa from Prince. She has no last name. We're back to that again. We'll see her again in season 6. We're going to see
Oh,
a lot of
great.
that.
Great.
Great. Thanks. Look forward to it, Wendy. Bob Denver. I guess he played Jason Markham. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I didn't see
I
much of
would
Bob
like
Denver.
to bring up here that you called your shot last week and you said Bob Denver's going to be great.
I mean, he
I'm
didn't.
not even blaming Bob Denver.
He didn't even have a chance to be great. He
They
wasn't great at all. He wasn't great.
Well, and there's another reason that him and some of the other characters were automatically not great, but we'll get to that. But once again, kind of like his buddy Jim Backus, just not a lot to do there. And maybe
No.
it made me think sometimes that we in 2024, having grown up on a lot of these reruns,
Yeah.
maybe overestimate the star power of some of these people at that time. Because Bob Denver didn't even get as much run as Pete LaDuca did.
Nope. He got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nothing. And I don't know if he could have been somebody else on, but yeah, it's.
Oh, he could have been somebody maybe 30
anybody.
years younger.
He could have been 30 years younger. He could have played Wendy. He could have played Wendy. It didn't take much. So if you don't know, we're talking about Bob Denver. Bob Denver, known for the many, many loves of Dobie Gillis, 144 episodes of that, 59 to 63. This man kept his job like in different, and then Gilligan's Island, 98 episodes, 64 to 67, and then but
Wow, that's like
there's a
12 years later though. So
yeah.
maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I remembered Bob Denver first, not from Gilligan's Island. When I was a little kid, one of my favorite shows was a show that Bob Denver starred in called Far Out Space Nuts. It was on for one season. It was a Sid and Marty Krofft show. Only had 15 episodes.
wow.
Uh, the gist of it was Bob Denver played a NASA maintenance worker. It was so good. And he and his other his partner's like sort of slightly more dim-witted than him. So the Bob Denver character asked his coworker, "Hey, can you hit the lunch button?" Which
Oh no.
they hit the launch button, dude. And that rocket blasted off, took him on various misadventures on alien planets. It
This
was
kind of like the Mystery
fantastic.
Science Theater plot.
Very, yeah, kind of, but very over the top 70s.
What does the lunch button do? Does it
It
like
just
give you a
lunch
conveyor
just
belt of
pops
lunch?
out, I guess, or sandwiches drop from the. I don't know. I don't
Wow.
know. We will
I gotta
see
watch
Mr.
that.
Denver again in season 5. Hopefully, he gets a few more lines next time. Wow, wow. Oh, also, I didn't write this down, but I was reading. Apparently, he was a very heavy smoker. Like everyone smoked, but he was like a legit like chain smoker.
Man, around all
One
those
after another.
all those palm trees. Well, wait a minute.
Island would have burned down.
Wasn't the plot of the last Gilligan rescue that he burned the raft down or
I
something?
mean,
Was he grabbing a
probably
butt?
that's why he was so hard to deal with on that island. You go from hot box
Oh,
to
but like
hot box, and you just
there's no such thing as detoxing or drying out on these shows.
no.
As you saw, Mr. Dwyer was totally cool. So
Oh, he's super. Conchata Farrell played Bitsy Sheldon from Loudondale, West Virginia. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's in Kanawha County.
wow.
That's near the Kanawha State Forest, not too far from Charleston, the state capital.
That is the state capital, but more east West Virginia than West Virginia, if I know my
That's
math.
that's what I was just about to say.
Um,
I'm big on West
I
Virginia
am a huge fan
geography.
of her.
Yeah.
I first came across her in a little show called ER, but not the ER everybody knows. The half-hour comedy show starring Elliot Gould as a emergency room doctor, I believe also in Chicago, and starring as a orderly George Clooney. And that's how Elliot Gould ends up in all the Oceans movies. So,
Huh.
but anyway, she played Thor, the sassy nurse.
She always plays that. She was on
Yeah.
LA Law.
She was on Two and a Half Men.
She
She
was
was
on Two and a
on.
Half Men for 12 years.
She was great.
Like,
She is great in this. She is great in everything. I can say she is literally. I've
yeah,
never seen her not be good in something. And so when she popped up, I was
I was
surprised.
surprised too.
I don't think I knew that she was around that long, honestly.
I gotta tell you, she always remind her delivery and her energy. I get just like a Tommy Lee Jones sort of.
Oh yeah, I can see that. And
I've always enjoyed her.
spoiler, magic with her and Mr. Capel.
Oh, I
Absolute
thought it was
magic.
great. I
Yep.
thought it was great.
Yep.
Next, Christopher George plays hunky heartthrob Ross Randall,
Youngster.
youngster. Why was he anyway?
I got
It's weird for a
we
50-year-old to be at a
I was
bunch
gonna
of
say
28-year-olds. Yeah,
we can do it later. I got
yeah,
all the ages of the
yeah.
cast here.
It's
So
it's bad.
whenever we need it. So
It's his second time on the boat, by the
did
way.
you know that?
I didn't. I
I
thought he
didn't
looked
I didn't either.
familiar.
I
Uh,
didn't either at all.
I wouldn't have remembered. He played Bill Wainwright from Bill and Jill. If you
That's
look
right.
in the archive, it's episode 23,
Well,
Chalice Full of Oranges.
put it this way, old Ross was not the smooth Lothario the first time. Or
No,
was
no,
he?
no. No. Remember how creepy Ray was?
Oh
I'll
yeah.
crank him
Well,
up now, like, ooh,
yeah. No, it was I was very surprised
I was too.
because There are 3 people that we have seen previously on this episode,
Yes.
and I only really knew one of them
Mhm.
was on originally. So
He'll be back next season. Next on the list, Lisa Hartman. She played Sherry. We'll see her in the Alaskan Cruise episode next season and again in season 4.
oh, well, I wonder if she's going to come back for Julie again. The Alaskan Cruise episode is obviously a big Julie
I would
episode.
think something. That's way too
I
soon to not be connected.
I had bigger hopes for her because she is from Falcon Crest,
Mhm.
and I just assume that everyone on those shows
Could,
can
like, bring it.
play a vindictive bitch, basically. And it was not the go after Julie that I expected to see in that, especially in that middle scene
Yeah,
where
I
they
kinda
kind of
want it.
confront each other. So
Next on the list is Michael Lembeck. He played Joey.
let's go, Joey.
Best known for his role as Max Horvath on One Day at a Time.
Married to?
Uh,
That was Mackenzie Phillips' husband on the show.
which one? On the show. Okay, yeah, on the
On the
show. I
show.
thought you meant real life. I was like, geez.
No, no.
We'll see him again in season 4. Kelly Monteith is Pete. We'll see him again in season 5. There's a lot of people we're going to see again. John Rubenstein.
He's back.
He's back. Episode 13, Seersucker. He was the on honeymoon with his new wife, Kathy Bates. That's when we met the other Love Boat captain. The other,
Yeah, that's a Bob Crane episode that just happens to feature other storylines.
that's a
But this guy,
benchmark episode.
John Rubenstein, was really a jerk in that episode and was just kind of a jerk in this episode.
Yeah.
So.
And last is Kathy, real life married to John Rubenstein, 71 to 89. They did it again.
And okay, so I have brought this up before.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up the first time, so I'm watching the whole episode clean. I don't know who this wife is, but I was thinking in my head, man, she's really not great. Like, this is not a lot to work with,
No,
but
she
she's
wasn't good.
really, And then I see that they're married in real life. And that has happened a few times where some of the worst performances and chemistry have been between married couples. I think of Robert Urich and his wife.
Yep.
Honestly, the
I've seen it a
best
few
real
times.
life couple was Jacqueline Smith and our boy Dennis Kingston.
I was going to say that. Yeah, they
And
they
kind
were
of going
fun.
downhill from there. So, but she was an actress. It wasn't like Bill Bixby and his wife, actually, I should say, were also very
Well,
good.
these two, there was no chemistry
No.
or no visible chemistry. Like you didn't, even the way they would talk, like she wasn't even a good reader. I didn't
Well,
think
and
it was just
this
bad.
relationship is apparently built on one thing, which is just debating the Vietnam War. They
That
had
damn
no.
war. She kept going
She
like
went to that so fast every time. Like,
she's been ready to have that argument. Like she's had that backhand cocked and ready to go for years, and
go
then
back to Canada.
go back to Canada.
So
I
the
mean,
one person
we do
who
have some
didn't-
Canadian listeners, Mike. So
We
we do
do.
need to.
Oh no, go back to Canada. You should go back to Canada. It's a great place.
I just wanted to make sure that we were sending the right message because I didn't want it to be like go back to go back to Canada because it's
Exactly.
a great place.
You'd be lucky to go back to Canada.
You would be so lucky.
She will not be on the Canadian Walk of Fame.
No, not especially not
Located.
twice.
Let's go, guys.
Still
Come on.
don't
I know
know.
you're out there.
Still don't know.
There was one person you did not mention in the cast list. I don't know if you caught that. They're not in the portal.
Kim Darby. Who is that?
This would be the man who played Tom, David Landsberg.
Okay.
That is Wendy's, the person who shows up at the beginning with the flowers.
Okay.
Do you know who Tom, David Landsberg, is? He is a returning champion. One of your absolute favorite minor characters, I think.
Was he the other painter?
He was not the other painter. No,
was
that's
he?
Artie Johnson, who you also think is somebody else.
Oh,
Paul Williams.
Paul Williams. Yeah. Gosh.
Tom.
Yeah.
David Landsberg. If you want to wait, we can wait until we get into it, or I can tell you now.
No, I gotta know now because I can't.
He is played by a man who did not get a portal in episode 9, he was part of the romance roulette. That's Mort, baby.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yes.
Wow, nice pull on that one. Gee
Yep.
whiz.
You
How
know
does
what's
this
funny?
guy not get a portal? Second
You know
time on
what's
the
funny?
show?
I recognized the actor's name.
Oh, wow.
Didn't recognize his face, and I was like, this guy has been on before, but
He got
why?
Kernsed twice.
He got Kernsed. Ironically, he got Kernsed because that was
Yeah.
who he hooked up with in that episode. So, shout out Mort.
Shout out Mort. Any other housekeeping before we get on this boat, this long
I thought
cruise?
the portals were fun in that they clearly shot them all outside on the deck because, as
Yeah.
we will see, this was shot on a real boat.
Yeah.
For
Sound
probably the
was all
most
right too.
boat. It was, and then it wasn't. But yeah, it
Every
was
time Isaac
for the
talks, it
most
gets
part.
weird. Yeah.
For the most part, and that Julie Sherry scene is pretty brutal. But the everybody just seems like they were just having a good time. Nobody went crazy, but you can see like the actual sky in the back and everything. So,
The
and
only
this
big
has to be the
bar.
most. This has to be
Mm.
the most portal people we've had, right?
Yeah. Oh, God,
This is
yeah.
like 11 or 12, some crazy
Yeah.
number. Like,
It's
so
ridiculous. It's
we'll never
ridiculous.
top that.
All right. Well, let's get on the boat. Show opens and we see a seaplane. What? What? I don't know what that's about. We get on board. We see a.
Airwolf project.
Oh, don't get me started on that one. I'd black out one of the lenses like the dude on the show. He's so awesome. We see a sign that says Haley High Reunion. Gopher tells us that it's Julie's high school reunion. Mike, who would do that at their work while they're working?
Yeah.
The whole time it bugged me. Like, you work there.
Yeah.
Like,
Why not
what?
take off at least?
But you can't half work. She definitely was not being professional. Like, it was just weird. Loosey goosey with the rules here on this ship. She's
Well, it's
disco
like,
dancing and dipping and all this other nonsense.
do you get a discount? Did at
Oh,
the end
maybe
of
that's
the
why.
day, well, let's start at the beginning. Julie's from Oregon.
Yeah.
We can assume that Norman Fell was involved in Hollywood, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So let's assume they went to Hollywood High, basically.
Okay.
So therefore, that makes sense why they're having this reunion in Los Angeles. There's 10 people on this boat?
There's lots of stuff to do in LA too. So it's not like there's nothing to
And
do here.
either they're all part of one class where several students were held 20 years back, or this is how I thought they were going to cover
Elusive.
themselves. I thought it was going to be the actual high school reunion. And they're very careful never to mention class of 68 or
Mm-hmm.
10 years. But they do throw around 10 years a lot.
Well, it's because everyone else is in Vietnam.
Well, everyone else is old enough to be in World War One. So,
Yeah, they were loosey goosey with the ages here of who went to high school with like, hey, Bob Denver, how many times did you have to like?
I think Shelby
You did
Foote.
high school
I
in,
think
in what,
Shelby
16
Foote
years?
wrote this episode.
Oh, what's going on? Yeah, there's no class of. It's a good point.
And it's funny because, and you know what? I apologize because I know you work so hard on the actual notes,
You're
but
good.
I'm gonna be all over the place
You're
because
good.
there's just so many things.
It's the show is yeah.
So they a couple times they dance around the fact that maybe this isn't just one class.
Well, because he
Ross,
said, "Didn't you go with you went to with my kid's sister?" I think Bob
right?
Denver
And
said.
then Ross, at one point when he's hitting on Wendy, says, "If you had been in my class, in my year, that kind of thing." But
Could
then
it
they
have been
keep,
just the drama students?
and I guess that's possible too. But even then, it's all kind of around 10 years. And the 10 years thing makes sense for what we've always thought Julie is.
Right.
And the Vietnam context is
Yeah.
fine. But then you can't roll out Bob Denver
No, and
as
Ross.
a 28-year-old.
Yeah, and you can't say Ross Randall's like 25 years older than anyone in the room. You can
Right.
hear it in his voice.
Well, here's the one that really throws you off. Lisa Hartman is 22 years old in real life. Bob Denver is 54 in real
It's
life,
just,
and they were classmates apparently.
hey, we used to have a locker in it. No, we didn't. No, we
What's
didn't.
up,
You're old enough
fellow
to be
students?
my father's older friend. What are you talking about? Jeez.
So bad.
Uh, please welcome full freak out mode Julie to the ship. Here she comes,
She's back.
freaking out.
She's back.
Uh, Julie tells Isaac to make sure there's enough punch. Tells Doc that she's expecting a lot of wild parties. She looks at Steubing and says, "Shouldn't you be on the bridge checking your charts?" Oh. And then he gives her the full salute and
Yep.
leaves.
Yep.
So
Steubing seemed to be on Team Julie a lot this year or this week.
yeah, I think so.
Kind of almost to the point where I thought he was being good about it, like subtle, because he definitely covered her a couple times, and
Yeah.
at one point might have even helped out with a little bit of C blocking. Classic Steubing C blocking.
He loves it. He loves it. He's so
Can't help himself.
he
He's just
loves a
helping people, Mike.
reunion. He loves some rah-rah. Like he
He
just
even
loves it.
he even did the new move that we've learned about for him later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Jason Markham, Bob Denver, and Pete approach Ross Randall. Bob Denver says, "I know you. You went to school with my sister."
Betsy Ross.
Yeah. So I guess we're to believe that Bob Denver is Rosemary's kid brother.
Kid brother.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because he's 54.
Yeah.
Ross has his own series now and asked Gilligan not to ask him for an autograph because he's the same guy they knew back in school. But they wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. You
It
can't
gets
be back in school.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome Wendy to the boat.
Boo.
Boo. Julie's happy to see her. She said, "Where's Tom?" Wendy said they broke up months ago. Tom was a stick in the mud. She tells Julie an anonymous admirer is on the cruise and that bought her ticket for her. And she left a poem with the ticket.
Yeah.
Or
So it's a
whoever did
real,
left it.
yeah, it's a real Cinderella. Yeah.
Come sail with me. Let's share romance, and in each other's arms we'll fly. If you won't
Great.
give my heart a chance, I'll hold my breath until I die. That's the
Yep.
poem. That's
Do you
beautiful.
think the fly part means that plane that we saw earlier?
I think it's just because it rhymed with die. There was no.
I wish it had been like a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer down your pants.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's an old Tom Hanks on Letterman bit.
it's a good one. That's a good one. I took a helicopter ride to the Hoover Darn. That's an old Johnny Carson. Somebody was. Julie thinks this whole thing is so amazing. It's so romantic. Wendy said, "I hope she hopes her Prince Charming's on the boat." Well, we're going to wrap this story up right now. Wendy walks towards her cabin. We see Tom. He has flowers in his hand, and clearly he is the admirer.
Yeah.
At 5 minutes and 14 seconds into this episode, we've wrapped up the Ticket to Ride storyline. I don't want to see Wendy again. I don't want to see Wendy or Tom again. That's it. I'm done with
You
that.
can't miss her because Wendy is sporting. Who was that woman last week with the perm? She's definitely got that going
poodle
on.
perm, just wide-eyed looking around, just
Yeah,
and
well,
she's easily
Wendy
lied.
is a one-trick storyline.
It's just
Yeah.
yeah. So Tom says he came to see her off, goes to hand her flowers with his head down, which I thought was a weird combination of actions. While his head's down, she walks away, and Julie's now there, and he ends up giving her the flowers. What?
This is Julie's getting flowers version of when she got that song dedication for the slow sax.
Accidental dedication.
And she's still like, "Oh, thank you so much.
This is so nice. Thank you." And then I'm like, wait a minute. So Tom got on the ship. We've never seen someone get on the ship to say goodbye, and then you have to get back off the ship. Then what's the point of the ticker tape?
Well, we saw it, but then they failed. Remember, Conrad Bain came to say goodbye, and then the boat started, and they got trapped.
They got trapped. Well, what have we learned? Have we learned nothing from Conrad Bain?
Well,
And
I'll
he
tell you one thing
survived
we've
for
learned.
4 days on 5 peanuts.
The one thing we have learned in these episodes here, and we'll see it today, is that you're not really ever trapped. So
No, you're good. They'll make it work.
yeah.
Doc is all fired up about his blind date. And I go, again, he's at work. He's fired up about a blind date he's about to have at work. That's all. Apparently the girl's name is Bitsy. Shows her picture in Julie's yearbook to go for an Isaac.
Did they
Isaac
make
says,
it?
hmm.
Did they make it clear that she was a teacher in that
Yeah.
yearbook?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I
the
wasn't
next
sure.
line, so Isaac says, man, she doesn't teach physical education. She
She is.
is
Yeah,
physical education.
you're right. I was a little worried that Doc was shopping out the yearbook.
Shopping 15-year-olds. Jeez, Doc. Oh boy. Raymond Burr has entered the lobby, and ladies and gentlemen, he is about to act. Bob Denver, Pete, because Pete Ross Randall notice Mr. Dwyer as he starts reciting a poem by John Masefield called Sea Fever. I must go down
as
to the
one
seas
does.
again, to the lonely sea and sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. Took some heavy Googling, by the way, to find that.
Acting.
Acting.
Well, it's great because he's a drama teacher, so he's acting, but
You
then
gotta
Raymond Burr
really,
is acting,
yes.
and so it's like double acting.
It's very meta.
It really
He's
is.
acting, yeah. So Bob Denver, and I'm going to continue. I'm not calling him Jason Markham. He didn't do enough to even establish that character. He's
You
Bob
can't
Denver.
be 54 years old in 1979 and be named Jason Markham.
Yeah, it's just not.
So
It's not. I refuse. Pete says, "Ain't it, Mr. Dwyer?" And I really thought Raymond Bros was just going to smack him for saying.
What if he had like murdered him? What if
uh,
that was the character arc?
just add a fifth story? Murder for.
I think this set the tone for Pete DeLuca though.
Yeah.
It was a tour de force by Pete DeLuca.
So. Oh, I was a big fan of Pete DeLuca.
Yeah.
Steubing and Julie walk up to Mr. Dwyer, and Julie gives him a big hug. He calls her Dimples McCoy, the heavenly heartbreaker of Haley High.
Yeah, we will take a journey with high school Julie this week, and I don't know how consistent it is with previous high school information we've gotten about Julie.
Yeah, there's this was telling. She introduces him to Steubing. He and Mr. Dwyer immediately begin singing together because Steubing is a fool, is what I wrote under here.
I cannot believe that I would say you not enjoying Meryl Steubing discussing show tunes is the least surprising fact I've ever heard.
Like this, dude. I want Julie to go, don't you have something to go? Don't you have charts to go check? Something?
Gilbert and Sullivan is the go-to for TV shows, though. I think it's just because it's like very sing-songy easy, but I know there's a West Wing episode that kind of builds an entire episode about Gilbert and Sullivan. It's just, the Pinafore is very friendly to scripts about people who like theater. Theater.
I was voted in the Thespian Honor Society my senior year of high school, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, I don't really like to talk about it.
I mean, I think it shines through on this baby every
you'll
2
see.
weeks.
After 4 more hours of this breakdown, you're going to see those chops.
We're going long, folks. It's the last one of the year. You got time.
Yeah, it's what? We got nothing here going. Steubing invites him to the bridge, and I love that Mr. Dwyer's like, "No, I'm good."
I like that Julie's like, it's an honor.
He's like,
okay.
Is it though? Is it?
Well,
so I can go up there and watch somebody else steer the boat? No, I'm good.
Hold on. In the last 4 weeks, we've seen what's her name went up there? Karen Maynard.
Yeah.
With Steubing. He took Eleanor up there.
He's gonna go make out with Mr. Dwyer or something.
Right. It's at least the third person that's going up there.
Oh, trying to impress him.
If you were watching this in a different light, Meryl Steubing is hitting on.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
which is fine.
it's
But like,
fine.
let's go with it. I'm okay with that
It's
Meryl Streep
fine. It's
character choice.
sure. Go nuts. It would add an interesting wrinkle to the program, I think. I mean, if you know,
I mean, he's not doing that great with the ladies. Let's be honest.
no, he's still Stacy. That's why. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Shout out. Oh, love it. Love,
Oh,
love,
I
love the
love
breadcrumb.
that
Love the
it was
breadcrumb.
perfectly done.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, we meet Jack Forbes and his wife Kathy. You wouldn't
Oh,
know it. You wouldn't know it
God.
by the way they talk to each other, and they're
The
really mad.
Forbeses have 6 seconds of excellent time on this cruise.
They have zero chemistry. They're walking on deck near the pool, and they're hoping that their friend Mike was able to make the cruise. Gopher asked him if they're part of the reunion. They ask him if he's seen Mike Kelly on board. And I feel like Gopher's like, you see that crazy son of a bitch back there, like making everyone laugh? That's
you,
Mike
see that,
Kelly.
you see that raconteur back there?
Look at him. He didn't give it two craps back there. Look at him.
Oh, you mean the king of the seas?
Look
Yes,
at
I've
he
seen Mike
loves
Kelly.
everybody. He's the new captain of the ship, actually.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
And this will be pervasive throughout the episode.
sure.
And it's different now in the social media and texting and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
in 1979, if you haven't spoken to somebody that's a friend of yours, quote unquote, in 10 years,
Hmm.
are you really still friends? Nowadays, definitely not, right? I mean, there's no way you're friends.
No. I agree.
I'm not saying you have to see them. People have lives, but like, if you haven't reached out in some point nowadays, you're definitely not friends. But back then, and again, a lot of people went to war, clearly. But it just felt like there was a lot of instances where it's like, where you been the last 10 years? I'm like, man, pick up a phone.
I don't think Mike Kelly gave two craps. Oh, hey, what's up? Like he's like, when you've seen what I've seen, you know what I mean? Like he's like, he just doesn't care.
That's the thing, though, man. Mike Kelly's an enigma. You don't know what he's thinking.
But like they're oh, I hope my friend like Jack is so needy.
Ugh.
It's like, dude, it's been 10 years. Like, what do
You know what? Good job, Canada, getting rid of this whiner
Yeah,
and his wife.
thanks. Thanks a lot.
Send them back down to Miami for some
This guy.
sleeping.
Jeez. Um, hmm. Probably going on to be a future Atlanta Thrashers fan too. Thanks a lot.
Oh, huge Thrashers
Stupid
fan.
Mike Kelly.
Oh, that
Thrashers.
guy, the Forbeses definitely think they know a lot about hockey because
Oh, so much.
they lived in Canada for like 18 months,
Mm.
but they
Then
didn't even live in like a hockey town. You know, it was
Then they
like
moved to like Stone Mountain and they make a few games a year. And when they're there, they think they know it,
they were probably big Flames fans. But then
Oh,
they moved
yeah.
to Calgary and they're like, I don't even know where Calgary is. And like, you
Where's
idiot, you
Calgary?
lived in Alberta.
Yeah, I'm not moving to North Dakota, is what they say. And we're like, it's not there. It's not there. It's in a different country.
Like I said, this is 2 episodes we've seen John Rubinstein. I do not like his characters.
No, he
so
stinks.
far.
He stinks. He's just so needy. Gopher said he heard that Mike is a war hero from Vietnam. Jack says, oh no. But Gopher says that nothing's wrong. What? Oh no. That's like the last thing you wanted to hear. I got to tell him I left for Canada. Oh, and he's a war hero? Great.
Here's the thing, Mike or Forbesy. It's a big boat.
It's a big
You haven't
boat.
talked to this guy in 10 years. You didn't know he was a war hero. Great friend you
No.
are. Your mom knows.
Yeah, your
Spoiler.
Your mom's old. Jeez, loose lips
It's
sink
just,
ships.
if you wanted to be evasive, you very easily could have been.
Yeah, but all Mike would have to do is, hey, can I have his number? And I bet his mom would be like, sure.
Yeah.
Mike Kelly was like, I don't really want his number because I think Canadian phone numbers have like 29, 30 numbers or something like that.
It's an
Because they
extra
got the
10
phones after we had them, and so it was like sequentially just the numbers. You have to be. Is it 21?
You know
Because
what?
my
I
friend in
think
Canada's phone number is like 2, 4, 6, 12. It's
you know what?
I probably shouldn't give out his number.
We 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 should, we're always like we should have cruise themed episodes like in terms of questions.
Oh, I know where
We're
you're
building
going.
up enough Canadian questions that I think I'm going to have like a Canadian mailbag request, and we have so many Canadian. And here's the thing: You guys don't write in. We write to you because
Yeah,
we
we
have
write to
so
you.
many Canadian questions.
Yeah. We're going to send our letters to Canada, care of
Exactly.
Canada.
Exactly. Walk of Fame.
That's it. Monty Hall. It's a simple question. It was a simple question. It was a
We're
really easy
never going to
question.
look it up.
I'm never Googling it.
We looked up Purser once, and we're never
Mm-mm.
looking up the Canadian Walk of Fame location.
What would Google is Canadian like CA? Do they have their own
Google,
like
it's Google with an OU.
OU?
Yeah, Google.
Goo.
Like
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. We're just kidding, Canada. We're back to high energy Julie. She has now climbed halfway up the staircase in the lobby. Asks everyone to join her in giving her alma mater a cheer. And they do. And of course, Steubing is right in the middle. Like he's cheering the loudest.
You can't beat them, join them.
No, he's just said, whatever.
So my first watch, and I would
Yeah.
say this is where it kind of stopped, but my first watch, when I said that I was overwhelmed, some of it was there were just so many people in the lobby, right? It just felt like there were a ton of people in the lobby.
Fire
And
hazard.
ostensibly, this is a cruise. They only have 600 spots, right? It doesn't matter how many people are in for the reunion. But okay, I can deal with that. But then when I rewatched it, the stairwell shot sounds like there's a million people.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, they don't even go all the way up the stairs.
Nope.
You couldn't stretch that out to have it go to the end of the shot. So therefore, in your mind, right? It's like, oh, people could be wrapped
Looks more
around the lobby
full.
steps.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
No.
There
It was
wasn't
like
that.
eight people.
They're like everybody spread out, put both
But
arms up.
this reunion had
This reunion stinks.
two people who are getting married,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who already works there,
Sure.
two old people, a mailman, a crazy woman who's trying to get away from her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And
Stupid Wendy.
right, and two teachers. This is a terrible reunion.
It's not good. It's not good.
Like by accident in Northeast Philadelphia, where I went to high school, you could accidentally have a reunion just walking into any corner bar that is bigger than this, and no chant.
No chance. Yeah, I've never been in Sweet Home Alabama. Visited people down there, and all of a sudden, it's never happened. It's just never happened.
They also could have written a more catchy. If you were going to say it 4 times, 5 times in this episode, it could have been a little better.
It wasn't good. Ticker tape shot. This is the moment I could tell these storylines aren't going to have a lot to them. Right at the ticker tape shot because
Really?
of the long.
Oh
shot.
yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
see the whole boat.
Yeah, we definitely had to get that boat out of port.
I was fine with it.
I actually, as it started, I was like, this would be an episode where I would actually be okay with characters being in the ticker tape. It makes sense,
It's
right?
logical. It's
Everybody's
illogical
happy.
for them not to have a one this time.
You theoretically could have had people that were waving you goodbye or something like that. Like I was actually waiting for it and was a little disappointed that they didn't use it.
So I think part of it's about just the effect it has on nature too. You get all the fish surrounding that thing and choking on pieces of paper.
That's true. It's
sea lions.
It's 1979 now. My bad.
Sea
I
lions
forgot
get
what
a
a great year for environmental safety 1979 was.
Whole family of sea lions with just paper just covered their nose.
Yeah.
They can't breathe. It's not right. It's just no more.
I'm not going to beat up on Jimmy Carter any more than this episode does later, but it was not a great time for the environment in 1979.
No, they were throwing motor oil overboard too. Like, I'll see you later. All right.
Yeah.
We see Julie again, and she's greeting another reunion person. We meet Joey. Just Joey. Just Joey. Just Joey.
Just go Joey.
Just
no
go
last
Joey.
name.
No last name. Gives him a hug. Asks how his dad is doing. And then Joey explains. Hey, yo, I'm a dancer. I like to dance. Turns out Joey both teaches and gives exhibitions of disco dance. That's Joey.
What is a disco exhibition?
I was laughing so hard when I was writing that word because I'm like, wait,
Is that like in the Florida Gulf
preseason?
Coast? You do it like in
Yeah.
February?
Is it like a preseason football game?
Right.
Does it count? Is it during the day? Is it outside? Like, I don't know what exhibition means. Like,
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
god.
I'm gonna, pay close attention. I'm about to dance for you.
Do you think Mr. Joey at the butcher shop, he's like, he'll be back in 6 months.
He's looking at his watch. He's still looking at his watch any moment now. And Joey's out there. Just
Hey,
getting it
Pa,
done. Hey,
don't touch the hair.
don't touch don't touch the hair.
Oh,
Oh
man.
boy.
This
Happy
was
New Year.
this was and this is most of the reason why
So bad.
this felt the most dated of any episode we've seen so far.
Yeah.
It's because of the disco. It really is. But it's like this felt like the
It was a
the
different
the
time,
most
man.
blatant version of disco is so hot right now. We have to build 35% of the episode around disco. So,
Around Joey.
hey,
Hey, how's your dad?
classic Italian Michael Lembeck.
Yeah, just enter Sherry, who enters the scene by saying, "And I'm his partner." There's a little confusion there.
Oh, there's a lot of
'Cause it's
vagary.
like, are they together? Like, I felt like they were kinda married. It was very weird.
They have separate cabins, right?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Because he kept referring to her cabin. So
He
you're
just kept saying
you're
her
getting married? See, this
this
Disco Joey, he
Joey,
was up to
a bit
no
of a
good immediately.
scumbag.
Yep.
I just missed the attention. Yeah. Like, come on,
Hey,
Joey.
I get around the high school
Yeah,
girls. I get all crazy.
it's all these exhibitions that I do.
How how
Ugh,
pissed do you think that past guest star, uncredited guest star, Danny Terrio felt
he's like,
that this
I
role
couldn't be
went
effing Joey.
that this he absolutely could have, honestly. He really
Like,
could have.
what? Yeah, no, Denny
Terrio
Terry.
was not that bad, or this guy was not that good that they couldn't have.
Every time you saw Terrio, he would just bust out dancing like seconds after you saw him. And yeah, I don't know. I felt like he was destined to play Joey. He's probably still mad he wasn't Joey.
He
I don't know if
probably
he's
got
still alive.
inspired by when he was on earlier this season, doing those moves, doing those sweet moves.
I think his first album's called Joey Should Have Been Me. I Could Have Been
Do you
Joey.
think Merv got in the way here?
I know his
Oh,
career got yanked away from him.
I think
So
Merv probably called up old Aaron Spelling. He's like, "Hey, Spells,
ship to shore, hey,
uh,
did it. Got him on the
kibosh
telegraph.
on the old Danny Terrio return."
Yeah. Ixnay on the any Dario
Ooh.
day. Yeah, it's not good. Sorry, Denny. Blah, 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 blah. Julie describes Sherry as the best dancer, head cheerleader, and the person that stole Joey away from her. Wow, that didn't
Dun,
take long.
dun, dun.
Julie asked if they're married now. Joey very quickly says they're just a team, but Sherry clearly doesn't like the answer to this question, which now I don't know what's going on here.
I think I think they didn't do a great job of setting it up, but at least you kind of know. I think the problem was,
Later, they undid what they did here.
I think as we get into it,
Hmm.
I feel like the woman who played the person who was trying to take Julie's job
Yeah.
set the bar for who this character should have been.
Oh, she should have been way.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but she was weak from her
she was
condition too.
weak and she was right. Julie is
1,000% right, but I blame
100% in the
Joey.
wrong in this.
But I blame Joey because
Of course
Joey
you blame
didn't set
Joey.
that. Because
Of course you
Julie's
blame Joey, but
yeah.
Julie not only knew what she was doing,
Oh yeah.
she then
She
got the
knew.
message loud and clear and
Well, when she
still went
said it,
for
when she told her, and then all
Yeah.
it took was a bad conversation. Like, who's going to listen to Gopher?
Right. Well,
We'll
first of
get
all,
there. I'm sorry.
Gopher. Yeah, we'll get to Gopher. Bad Gopher
Bad
episode.
Gopher.
Yeah.
It's Bitsy. She's even more fired up than Julie. She says that nobody recognizes her after 10 years. And I want to say this because we're about to hear a bunch of different fat
Yep.
jokes, which I'm not
I
going to
agree with
repeat
what
the
you're
fat
gonna say.
joke.
I agree with what you're gonna say.
I didn't like,
Nope.
she just looked like a normal person to me.
Exactly. And I guess this is what they had to do to quote unquote get away with it. But she
It just
is
shows how
not
bad it was then. If
yeah,
that's what's
she is not
No, I thought she
quote
looked
unquote
great.
fat woman. Like,
Not
no,
at all.
this was uncomfortably.
I didn't like it, man.
And I'm not saying for this day and age. I'm saying that even back then, that
Yeah,
just
I
didn't
didn't.
feel like.
Even when she was making I just thought it was sad. Like, it's a sad commentary. Like, if
Yeah.
that's
And you know what else didn't help? And this has happened. This happened a lot with the chauvinist episode.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Kurt. They went so hard on the laugh track during all this. That didn't help either. I
No, they
think if
did
you would
here
just kind
too.
of let it breathe, it would have felt a little less.
Yeah, it
But
didn't
this
need
felt like every fat joke, quote unquote, just got these.
everybody's rolling laughing at these
Yeah,
jokes.
and it was like, I
It was
understand we're
messed up.
watching it. I
I
know we're
get it.
watching it in different times. But that said, to your point, she's not a fat woman.
Not at
Like, this
all.
is,
Like, if that warranted, if her appearance, like, if they were just writing fat jokes and maybe the character, maybe I don't know. It really got under my skin because I
yeah, I
was
didn't
like,
like
this
it.
is
I didn't
crazy.
I didn't like it. They didn't define her by it, which is fine, but
Well, she
they
sort of
definitely
defined
went
it.
to the they
Well,
definitely went to
she
the well a little too much.
well, the character of Bitsy herself defined herself by it. I mean,
But I
every
think that was to
joke
give
was
them. I
like,
think that was to give them cover.
but even then it was just like, oh my,
No,
like, why
it
are
all
we it
it
all
all
was
set up
fine, but
for it all
it's
set up for a fantastic episode
yeah.
of Bricker.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. We see Doc on deck looking for Bitsy, still holding the old yearbook. uh, Doc is clearly disappointed when he's introduced to Bitsy. And then here come the fat jokes from Bitsy. Like, she just lays on, and I didn't,
No,
I didn't, there's no point in writing that stuff down.
they're self
It
they're
bothered
they're
me.
they're defense moves, right? Like,
Yeah,
but
but even defense moves aren't that. Like, that was
no,
just
no.
crazy. Um, but we're moving on to a happier person, Mike Kelly. Back to this happy SOB. He's wheeling himself around the outside deck when he sees Bob Denver. Again, I'm not calling him Jason Markham. Bob Denver, Pete, and Ross Randall.
Do you think that crew? You know what?
Hmm.
Do you think those guys were friends? Because, like, in my first watch, I was like, these are friends. But then in the second watch, when I kind of got the whole little sister, and I don't know that they were like
I
friends in
don't know
high
why they were
school.
hanging out with Ross Randall. I could see
But then it
Pete and
seemed like they
Denver.
were. Like, it was very.
I don't think they knew what to do with these guys because really, aside from the Wendy interactions, there's not much else going on. And then the thing for anybody could, well, yeah, it was weird. It
This
was,
feels like, how I always ask the question, do they
mm,
have the storyline and then get
yeah,
the cast, or do they get the cast and then have the storyline? But it's like these
they
were
had a storyline. Yeah.
perfectly fine performances,
Hmm.
but they were too old. They were
Way too
perfectly
old.
fine written roles, but they were too old.
Yeah,
It's
way
like
too old.
if you had just cast a couple of
Just
the
regulars. Just
Disco
regular.
Joey is perfectly fine, right? If you would
Yeah.
just cast two other guys like that, like go get, you know what? Go get Rick and Mike. Get all the
Yeah.
Lotharios from season one and just throw them in here. And you can keep Pete. Pete's actually age appropriate.
Bob Denver in this role didn't make any damn
Bob
sense.
Denver is 54.
Like, what are you doing in this?
54.
It's just weird. It's
It is
just weird.
insane. He is 23 years older than the woman who plays Wendy.
I wonder if it was like a rush to get him on because he had something to promote?
It
Because
makes
this
me
is just a
think they had.
garbage role.
It makes me think
You
that
sign on before.
it's like, yeah, and this is all we got. But it's insane. And
It is
I
insane.
understand there are certain things that we pick up on because of being so far removed. There are
Sure.
certain things we pick up on because we are watching them very close together.
I agree. I agree.
This would have been very obvious when you were watching
Yeah.
TV in 1979 that Bob Denver is at least twice the age of these high school people.
Absolutely. It didn't make any sense. I hate it when they do this.
Bob
Like,
Denver would have fought in the Korean War. Seriously.
I know it's just in the context of how they like. I want to be like, why are you hanging out with these high school kids? Essentially, like, you're at least 30, about 30, 20.
But no, man.
They
Listen, Bob
just
Denver might be 30 years older, but Jason Markham's just a
Jason
kid,
Markham's
man.
young, man. Look at me. Look at my hat.
It really took me. It sucks because it took me out of it to a certain
Yeah,
extent. Once I realized they weren't explaining it enough,
they
it
said
really
screw
took
it.
me out of it.
Yeah, I agree. Pete asked Ross what it's really like in Hollywood. Ross said it's fantastic. Swinging parties, 3 girls for every guy every night of the week. And then he says, "Wish I couldn't have gotten myself invited to one." Wah, wah.
But see, this is my point. These were good. This was good. That was
That's
funny. Like
fine.
it wasn't
It's
about
not
the
the
performances
yeah. It's the
at all. Yeah,
circumstances
it
they
just
put
kind
these
of
people
killed
in.
the reunion storyline.
It's just dumb.
Yeah,
Can you imagine going on a cruise not knowing there's a frickin' reunion going on, and you get on the cruise and there's a frickin' reunion going on?
they really should have had one storyline that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because that would
Well,
suck.
it's like Patty Duke in
Yeah,
the Valentine's Day one,
right.
where she swore that she didn't know.
Mhm.
Now it turned out she ended up getting a husband out of it, so it worked out for her. But
But still.
yeah,
Jack Forbes and his wife Kathy looking over the edge of the ship. Kathy tells
jump,
Jack, "Yeah, I know, just go now, both of you."
pick a rail.
Kathy helped Jack, Jack helped Kathy. Jack says that Mike was his closest friend, but he doesn't know how to tell him that he bailed out for Canada. And Kathy's like, "What? Did you say Vietnam?"
Spotlight,
Because
please.
starts talking about how the Vietnam was wrong, and I was just like, "Wow, man, I got crazy political here for a second." Like in
Hanoi
1979.
Kathy Forbes.
No
Jeez.
kidding. Uh,
You think this was a reaction to the Deer Hunter? This just feels very heavy, man.
it's
Like
very heavy. It's
the
funny you
only
say that.
Vietnam stuff we've had mentioned the whole time was Tennille with her
Mm,
druggy brother.
yeah.
That's the only Vietnam we've had. We don't really get this much real life.
No, I was kind of.
This was a lot. And I get what they were going for. And
I get
again,
it.
I think there's something. I think if you took the wife,
If she wasn't there, it would be better.
yeah, I think it would
Yeah.
actually be better. But it was just a lot of. I was actually surprised when she said, when she had a clearly definitive, Vietnam was wrong. It felt a little more of
I
a take.
agree.
It
Yeah.
felt like a little more of a take than I expected to be on the Love Boat.
Oh, same here. I was
Yeah,
like, "Whoa, what is?"
yeah.
Apparently they built a business in Canada when they turned their backs on Old Glory. That's my note. Yeah, that's my note. Uh, Jack says he has to face Mike sooner or later. He asked Kathy to stay close. Like, Jack, grow a
Like,
pair,
Mike,
buddy. Grow
what
a
is
pair.
Mike gonna cut you, dude? Like
Like,
what?
what's wrong with you? Stop.
Also,
Although Mike Kelly,
you
if he
don't
wanted
have
to
to
hurt you, he
face
would
I
lunge out of that chair. He would mess this guy up if he wanted.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, here's the other thing too, Jack. Guess what? You don't have to face him. You didn't have to face military service, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you can avoid Mike Kelly.
you've done it
It's a
for
big
10
boat.
years. Don't
Yeah.
hey, here's an easy way to avoid him. Don't go on a boat that Mike Kelly's on, you
Yeah, and
dummy.
you never see those guys interact with anybody except for that one
Nope.
scene. So, like, they clearly don't have friends.
No.
Why are you even on this boat?
I,
Why did you come to this reunion?
what are we reuniting about? Exactly?
Yeah.
Like there's no they were all there for that giant disco jammy jam. That's why they were all really there.
It would have been funny if there had been a scene. There's no cabins in this episode,
Mm-mm.
but it would have been funny if their whole suitcase was filled with those graphics T-shirts that they're selling, and that was the whole reason they came on the
That's
boat.
the whole thing. And they're all for like reunion based.
Ironically enough, and we do complain a lot about the Forbes in this episode, they are our main supplier of the merch store. So
Yeah, we don't want to cut them off. We get a
no,
sweet deal from across the border.
no, we do. Yeah, the Canadian tariff is going to be going up here soon, but
Yeah, we need to be careful on that. Ugh. Have to move operations north of the border. We go to break. And we're back. First break of the show. We're back and we are poolside. A lot of poolside, a lot of outdoor.
well, I mean, yeah, this is a good
I'm
spot
all
to say it,
for it.
right? Like they clearly were on a real ship.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
that I
and
like it better that way.
and we've seen bits in certain episodes.
Mhm.
The fight was in like on the deck and
Oh,
other
the fight
things.
was great.
It does. I understand why they can't do it every week, but it did add a bit of like pageantry to it.
I
So
agree.
if they save it for the special episodes, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's kinda like the TV movie, like the Batman TV
Yes.
movies that would be on. You'd get a lot of outdoor,
Mm-hmm.
like a little more
Yeah.
money.
No, it because it felt different, and to me, as a two-parter, like this thing definitely felt different.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah, it
feel so
definitely
different as the first one of the season where they had an hour episode of a hostage island, but it definitely felt different. So
yeah, d absolutely. I would love to know at the end, like, what the best two-parter is gonna be out of all of them, because they're
I still
definitely
think the
different.
I still think the first one's the best.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Ross Randall walks up to Isaac at his tiny bar on the deck and orders 4 beers, and I'm thinking, where does he have 4 beers in that tiny little bar that he's got?
Last week he only had like one thing,
There's
right?
1 bottle there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one that, Leslie Nielsen took
Oh,
when he
that's
went
right.
and was hanging out with that dude's wife.
No,
Uh,
Richard Mulligan.
Mr. Mulligan, sorry, Richard
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Yeah.
I get those guys confused too, apparently now.
This is
That's
a
my
whole
new There's
whole
only
list.
5 actors in Hollywood.
That's gonna be a stubby category this year. Is best two people you conflate with each other.
Um, Here comes Mr. Dwyer, and he sits down at this tiny bar, which I didn't think there were seats at the bar until this week. I thought there was just anyway.
There definitely were not seats last week,
I didn't think so.
or in the Richard Mulligan one. You're right.
Ross buys him a drink. Isaac pours Mr. Dwyer a glass of scotch. Mr. Dwyer drinks this drink very, very, very fast. Tells Ross he was the best Hamlet his school ever had, and then calls him a sellout
Yep.
because I'm hammered. I'm I'm
Already.
I'm done. I'm Dwyer.
I like that he took the time to watch his garbage detective show.
Yeah.
But also, like, come on, Raymond Burr. Like, there's no money in Shakespeare in the 70s. You got to be on like Young Mannix or whatever this guy's
You
on.
get a roll of Ironside, just something, Rat Patrol, something. Come on.
I wish
Um,
they did. I wish in this day and age they would have had a cut scene of Ross's detective show.
I will say this, and one thing I did not, because we've had him on the show before, and I brought it up to them that he was on Rat Patrol.
Yes.
I still just want to say what a great show that was. They were on dune buggies. They were chasing Rommel through the African desert. It's a fantastic show.
Well, since we're doing Christopher George stuff that we
Yeah.
probably have brought up before, he was married to Linda Day George, who was the younger wife of Leslie Nielsen in that episode
Oh, wow.
that we were just talking about, and died pretty young. So sadly, he died, I think, in like 1983.
Oh, wow.
But I will say this: we enjoyed him as Bill in the Bill
Yeah,
and Jill last time
absolutely.
around, and I enjoyed
Really
him
enjoyed
here.
it. Yeah.
The age difference thing did not take away from my enjoyment of the performances.
No, I agree. I agree. I
And
just
and
thought they
I
put him in a bad spot to
exactly, but I enjoy. And the thing was, I really enjoyed his scenes with Raymond Burr and like kind
yeah.
of as the raconteur and all that stuff. It's like I liked
He
it.
he was a little
If
creepy
they
with
had
Wendy.
just had a sentence that said, "Yep, it's a reunion of every class," and I'm so
That's
glad
ever
some of different
graduated
classes
for
are
the last
represented here.
70 years. Yeah,
Yep,
then I'm fine, but this
that's
was
it. That's all I needed, but
because that guy was older than Bitsy, and she was a teacher.
Bitsy was only 36, 34,
Mm,
34 in this. Yeah, so like Conchita Farrell. Like,
yeah. So Mr. Dwyer's killed his first drink. He asked for another drink, as Ross and his 4 beers walk away. Isaac tells Mr. Randall that he was rough on Ross. Back off, Isaac. Back off. Seems like Mr. Randall's a bit envious of Ross, maybe.
a little bit.
Gets another drink poured by Isaac, and like that's 3 scotches in like 4 minutes.
Gets first of all, day load, no ice. Second of all, he drank the second one so fast he forgot he had it.
That thing was gone quickly.
So I was, I don't always drink on these episodes, and I usually put it in a cup if I do. But like,
Mm.
this is I do not drink scotch, but this is bourbon. But I had to. This was a drinky episode.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
was
if
a
you're Mr.
very drinky.
Dwyer,
There
it,
are I wanted to go and record all the drinks. I didn't get to all of them, but we got some new drinks that I know
mhm.
some of the drinks mentioned are some of our personal favorites
Oh,
actually.
excellent. I did hear
Um,
a few.
yeah, so
Uh, Here we see Wendy looking for a Prince Charming. I wrote, "Didn't we already wrap this story up?"
I was told this was over.
I was told this was over. Like, what are you doing? Wendy runs into Ross. He still has 4 beers, and at this point I wrote, Ross is a bit creepy, and he's showing a lot of chest. I mean, he had one button. I mean, sign of the
Not just
times.
that, you got a friggin' war hero over there waiting for one of those beers. Keeping
Don't
your
bring him
pants
back a
off.
warm. Don't bring Mike Kelly back a warm beer. He will.
Or
He will.
it's probably true.
Mm,
They're all for Mike Kelly.
that's what it is. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
that
Bob
Chuck
Denver
Norris thing.
doesn't drink.
Mhm.
Pete could easily get shot down.
Oh yeah,
So
and I think Ross was having Seagrams and 7. He's not. He's not drinking a
no,
beer.
Paulus isn't a beer guy. I
No.
agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
He asked her for a drink and dinner and dancing. He says, "I'll pick you up at 7, and you and I'll go straight to heaven." And so, of course, she's like, "Oh,
Because
he,
once when Ross goes for it, he goes for it. That was
oh
like
my
the
goodness,
big
did he
thing,
go
right?
for it?"
Yeah.
Wendy's convinced that Ross bought her cruise ticket. Again, we thought we were done with this. Tom bought the ticket. We all know that. 5 minutes and 16 seconds into the damn episode. Okay.
It took
Joey and
me.
Sherry.
It took me. I had to get through the Ross one. It
Oof.
did take me to Pete to realize what they were doing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's on me. But
Oh, I didn't. You know what? You're right. Though. I didn't either because when I
yeah,
was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, because
She's
the Pete one actually was going well,
you got to
and
think she
Ross
did this
wasn't
with
a creep,
she did it with every
So
male passenger.
yeah,
So like roughly half of the 600 people, she
this is why, man, Disco Joey must have been cock of the walk at that high school because
apparently
there's Julie and Sherry and the gym teacher. Like,
just bitsy and crazy ass Wendy. Like it's
yeah,
a
I don't think Wendy was less crazy in high school, is my guess.
no, 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 no. I don't think I don't think it works like that.
I mean, at one point in this, we'll get to it. At one point in this episode, Wendy tells Julie that Wendy is crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was one of my favorite parts. That's why I say Wendy's crazy. She's super crazy, and she admits it. Joey and Sherry are playing backgammon. Joey's watching Julie talking to Wendy below, leering. Sherry's none too pleased. And then I'm like, are they together or not? Because I felt like this was alluding to the fact that they were together.
It,
Sherry
it,
mentions that her stomach hurts. Don't worry, Mike. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about there. That is a red herring or even a pink herring. I don't know,
I
but don't
didn't.
even worry about that.
I didn't get it on this one. I
Oh,
got it on.
I right
I
away.
got it on the next one. I didn't get it on this one.
We see Bitsy on deck. Gopher with more fat joke, a lot more fat jokes.
Yeah.
Not good.
And you know what too?
I
It's
didn't
like
like it.
Fred Grandy is a very good comic actor. Like we have seen it all year. They didn't even give him subtleness or grace. It was just
No.
like, yeah, I tell you what, Doc, it's a lot of fat, fat, fat. Like it was
Yeah,
just a lot of
it
that.
wasn't cool.
No,
Yeah,
it
it wasn't
wasn't.
even
It was
clever. It was
no,
just dumb. Yeah.
it was beneath. It's hard to believe I'm saying this about this show, right? But it was beneath. The comedy line of this show has been pretty good. A lot
Yeah,
of
I
our
agree.
problems are the drama, right? It's like the
Well,
comedy is generally at least okay.
I agree. I just don't
Yeah,
think Gopher, character-wise, would say those jokes.
I agree. I agree. He's
Like,
afraid of Doc. I mean, we've kind of seen this.
he just doesn't seem like that kind of person. You know what I
No,
mean? To
yeah,
like,
I didn't like it. It almost should have
I like
come from like they should have had
an
an extra
extra,
crew
the
member,
guy wiping down the
like,
rails so
or
Doc could
the
have
dude,
plugged him.
the dude who whispers to Gopher later
Oh
on.
yeah, oh yeah. I got something on that one later too. uh, the guy did not look like he belonged. The guy that whispered in Gopher's ear. By the way, he looked like he was like a spy or
He was
something.
so tall.
It was weird. It was weird. Is that
Where was
Jaws
that guy a
from the
couple
James
weeks
Bond?
ago when they were trying to hang that chandelier?
Yeah, that's why they hired him. That's why he's there now.
Oh, he
Uh,
replaced Fish.
Doc said he's still going on a date with her. After hearing all these jokes.
Yeah, because Bricker's a stand-up guy.
He is a stand-up guy.
Next, a very special Bricker.
Brick.
You always keep a date, no matter
You
what.
never.
Happy
Here,
Valentine's Day, followed by Dr.
uh,
Barnes, night surgeon.
ugh. Here comes Steubing in his uniform of white Bermuda shorts and knee socks. This looks so official.
Way too much
Oh,
knee this
just
week
too much
from
white.
Steubing.
Everything's white. Good Lord.
I just don't. I know this is probably your bit,
Oh,
but it's like I get it. It's hot, but like, get some linen pants.
it's not
It's
that much more material. You're wearing these
no, and
long
you know what's
shorts.
funny? Most of the other people on the boat are wearing pants.
Yes.
Like it
I
just
kind
makes
of
me
have a
think
thing with
so
that.
much less of you as a person.
I have this weird thing too. Like if I see like a concert or something, like don't be wearing shorts. I feel like you're not coming to work if you're wearing shorts like that. If I was a famous rock star, I would never wear shorts on stage.
You know what's funny? Even if they were like different colored shorts, but it's the white on high socks on white. It's just like you look
Well,
ridiculous.
I think it is the shorts, but the socks are so dumb looking.
Yeah.
Like the socks are almost like just and the white shoes too.
It's just
Like just
unnecessary.
go with
It's
pants, dude.
as a uniform, it is a terrible choice.
You look
Especially
like a lunatic.
this is why no one respects your authority.
Well, look at
If he
them.
wore the action shot stewing outfit of the black pants and the long sleeve shirt or whatever, and I
Yes.
get it, it's hot. You want to go short sleeve shirt, that's okay.
Whatever. You look like a captain. Sweat a little.
Exactly. Exactly. You really do look like we've said this before jokingly, but
He
he
looks
does
like
look like
crap.
Donald Duck.
He
It's
just looks
terrible.
ridiculous.
Fuck at that.
He just ugh.
I know that's Daffy Duck, by the way.
It's all right. It's famous ducks. It was
All
famous
ducks.
ducks for 500. That was
Howard
the
the Duck.
category. He sees and joins Mr. Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer's hammered, stooping, and he begin to sing together. Isaac joins in, and they both give him a look until he stops.
One of my favorite Isaac, like small Isaac character things is
Yeah.
when he pops in for these like sing-alongs. Sometimes he gets shot down, sometimes he doesn't. But like the famous Leslie Nielsen wartime song sing-along that him and Steubing
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Isaac pops in on that. I
He
just
loves it.
the Ted Lang singing is always a winner.
I love
Always.
Ted. Ted Lang's great.
Always.
He's always
He was
amazing.
great in this episode.
Yeah, he was. It's dinner time. Enter Joey.
Hey!
Oh, in what I would describe as a bronze three-piece tuxedo with ruffles.
What, you never?
Joey asked Julie to hang out with him later. Joey's a bit of a scumbag here.
Yeah.
He's a bit
Yeah,
of a scumbag.
Joey makes it. I think Joey's defense, especially to Sherry, is that it was kind of like, spur of the moment and all this stuff. But like,
That's why
I
he
would
came to her.
imagine. Okay, let's back it up.
All right.
The notice goes out about potential high school reunion.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have it at the gym or maybe a catering hall near your high school.
Maybe.
When it's
Yeah.
on a cruise ship, my guess is Julie's name is involved in the selling of this to people, right?
I would imagine.
And so he has known for a while that Julie's going to be on this boat. So
Maybe she didn't know.
knew
Maybe
this.
Sherry didn't know,
Oh, I bet you Sherry didn't know because Joey's a scumbag.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah.
He's a scumbag. Well, and it's funny when after Joey asked Julie to hang out with him, Julie says, "I don't think Sherry would like that." And Joey said, "I'll be sure not to invite her."
Hey, but
So
she don't hurt her.
it's and then Julie's like, "I'll be in the lounge after dinner," and Joey says, "Bring your dancing shoes." Isaac walks up to Julie
By
and
the way,
says,
sorry, hold on.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you have not watched this episode and you're just listening to us,
I
he
know it
does not
sounds
sound
crazy.
anything like
He didn't sound
that.
anything like that. No. Let's be fair.
Michael Lembeck sounds like he's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, he didn't sound anything like Joey the disco dancer.
But Disco Joey will sound like this the rest of the episode, just so you know.
Just so you know what's going on. Isaac walks up to Julie and says, "He gets my vote for most likely to succeed."
Yeah, Isaac had a lot of good drop-ins like that.
Look at him.
That was pretty funny.
Doc and Bitsy enjoying laughs over dinner.
Great. We always talk about like the old-timey pit pat pat.
Yeah.
Like this was It reminded me a lot, but in a better way, of him and Loretta Swit.
Oh,
Now,
when she
she
was
was
the
doing a
Russian?
horrible Russian
Yeah,
character and all that
great
stuff, but it's
accent.
the same thing where it's like, you drop Bernie Capel in any of these things, he
He's
is a chameleon. He
he's
can
charming.
make it with anybody. It was
He's charming.
I really enjoyed that. That's like the
Um,
7th doc date
yeah,
person that I would watch a show of.
I
I
like
couldn't say
them
that for
together. I
anybody
thought
else.
they were great together. You know?
Absolutely, and I love Conchita Ferrell, but that is as much about Bernie Capel and his ability to play off of anybody. I know I
100%.
said it about Patty Duke.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was just like there are so many, and he's getting everybody. He's getting young, old, like stars, not
It
stars.
doesn't matter to him.
Now
Twins,
this was
anybody.
a this was a tour de force for Adam Bricker, not just in the jokey, here's
He's had
some
a
Bricker
he's had a
stuff.
strong season.
Oh, I think he
Very
locked.
strong season.
We still have 8 episodes left, but I'm pretty sure he's locked up
Oh, he's great.
best for the stubby.
Wendy and Ross are at dinner. Wendy asks, "What's for dessert?" Ross replies in maybe the creepiest way ever, says, "You." Oof. And they leave the dinner table together. Like Wendy's crazy ass Wendy's totally cool with that. I'm just like, oh.
Yes, right. Ross is a cannibal.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. We never see Wendy again. Poor Tom.
That's where my acting strength comes from.
Steubing is at his dinner table. Issues here, sitting next to Gopher. What happened to the boy girl seating
Just
arrangement?
another sad ass captain's
And there's
table.
like nobody
Man.
there. There's
So
nobody
much
there.
crew this year on the captain's table.
And Steubing's pouting that Mr. Dwyer didn't join him for dinner. But you
Do
know
you
who's
think
not pouting?
do you think the captain's table is even going to make it to season like 3 or 4? Because we are just
You got to revamp it. You got to
when we
revamp it.
do
He needs to
see
sit at
it,
the head. Like you got to revamp the whole thing.
when we see the captain's table, it is 75% crew.
It shouldn't be that way.
It should
It
never be
shouldn't
crew.
never. And the other thing is, I didn't like it when Gopher would stand behind him. Like, what are you doing, dude? Just get away. Get away.
Gopher had some space issues this week.
Yeah, no shit. Mike Kelly is not bummed, and he's at dinner talking to Pete. Enter Jack and Kathy, and Mike is happy to see him after not seeing them for 10 years. Jack does not take this opportunity to say anything to Mike Kelly. We cut to Wendy and Ross, and they are literally necking. I now know what necking means. Wendy asks Ross if he bought her ticket. He says, "No, I play a detective, not a millionaire."
Yo.
Wendy gets up and leaves. And I'm out, boom, gone. She leaves and runs into Pete. Pete asks her to dance. She reluctantly joins him, and they show the dance floor, and it's just going crazy.
Yeah.
Just the whole boat. I'm surprised the boat's not just
capsized.
Off kilter. Here comes Joey in his bronze tux, now with Sherry. Oh! It's the end of the dance floor. Joey and Sherry are doing the disco dancing, and Julie looks like she wants to Kerrigan Sherry.
Well, it's funny because Joey walks in and Julie like perks up, and then Sherry comes whipping around the corner, and that is actually great. I love those scenes, and it was like everything is kind of shot hazy, and Sherry kind of pops out, and Julie just is like,
well, that's what she. Joey pulls Julie on the dance floor. So now he's all dancing with her, being inappropriate too, because we know Joey's a bit of a scumbag.
Yep.
Now Sherry's looking at Julie, and she looks like she wants to Kerrigan her. And then Joey says, "Everybody come join me on the dance floor." And they all join him.
Hey, Mr. Cutter.
Steubing asks Sherry if she and Joey will teach the passengers how to disco dance. Because how do you ask somebody to do that? Like, hey, just out of the goodness of your heart, you want to teach all the
So this is
so needy.
I believe this is the scene where Steubing is trying to ask first of all, for group lessons, and then B, for private lessons. But in doing so, unwittingly or not, he is stopping Sherry from running after her fiance that
Just
Julie
patting
has
her.
just sucked away. So-
You know, Steubing had no he didn't wanna ask Sherry. Why would he ask Sherry that question? He was doing Julie a solid.
which, by the way, if that's the case, good for Steubing. I don't think he's that clever.
No, he's not that clever. He's not that
So
clever.
he really just
Mm-mm.
got those meaty gams right in the way there.
Yeah. Those milky thighs of Meryl just blocking Sherry's exit. Ju Julie and Joey leave to, quote, "get some air."
Ew!
Oh, Gopher goes to get Doc off the dance floor. Apparently, there's an issue with Mr. Dwyer in his cabin.
This is
What
unnecessary, right?
what
So
was the issue? Like
Gopher goes over and says there's an emergency.
right.
Uh, Bitsy doesn't buy it.
No.
She's heard this all too many times
And
before,
I
right?
get it. I get it.
Which I understand. But Gopher could have actually just said, "Hey, listen, we have a passenger who's dying of alcoholism consorption
Yeah, all of a sudden
in
he's
the hotel room,"
worried about HIPAA.
which I do understand.
Yeah,
But long story short, Bitsy takes it as a setup, right? The old blind date move where I
sure.
got a phone call. But then Doc's got to go, and Doc's like, "This is another episode of Brooker." He's like, "Why didn't you say so? Tell the captain." Dun, dun, dun.
We go to break, a brilliantly timed break. Like, how could you not go to break here? We come back. Doc, Gopher, Isaac, and Steubing. Why is Isaac and why are
Well,
all
he's
these
the
people in this
reason.
guy's room?
He's the cause. I guess he's the cause of the cure.
I guess he's just
All right. So
Doc.
I would
But he's
I would like to
drunk.
get into this. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
stretch your legs. I'd like to get into this a little bit. So first of all, we kind of mentioned it before. So
yeah.
everybody's dancing, and this tall gentleman comes over to Gopher, and he starts to like lean in and whisper. So this tall guy, I guess, works for Gopher, but he has discovered an
Lurch.
issue with passenger Raymond Burr.
Hmm.
So Raymond Burr is very drunk, sauced, but he's in his room.
Right. So who?
What is the protocol that they have discovered Raymond Burr drunk in his room? Because we saw in the last year a
Yeah,
man being held hostage by a rabid dog that they did not catch. So how
yeah.
did they discover Raymond Burr?
Maybe somebody heard all the singing coming out of the room, and I thought something was amiss. It didn't
That's
make any
crazy.
sense because then I was like, okay, so he's drunk, but
In the morning.
it's not like you have to pump his stomach or anything. Like, what
No,
do we? And because
no,
Doc
they're
says medically speaking, he's bombed.
right. Like they're
So
not even like flipping him upside down in case he throws up in his
right,
sleep.
but
Like
then
they're
I'm
not
like,
doing anything.
but
Like,
doesn't everyone get bombed on this thing? Isn't it a cruise?
yeah, pretty much.
Like, I just like
Yeah,
that Steubing tries to wake him up, and I'm thinking, what are you going to say to him when you wake him up?
yeah,
Like, what are you trying to wake him up? But he does say
yeah.
alcoholism is more than a problem.
The
That's a
more that we
Steubing
talk,
quote. Yeah,
well, would you kill for it? The more that we talk about it, the more I realize that Steubing is in love with Raymond Burr.
he's in love with Raymond Burr.
And he's using all the powers of his captaincy to get him.
Gotta have him. I need you, Mr. Dwyer. It's just that simple.
That guy is cartoon drunk though. He's like sitting up in his bed. He's got like a funny hat on. He's like,
Well, I did notice that Steubing's shorts were a little bit shorter this week. They were about like half an inch shorter. He raised that hem a little bit. Oh,
"Do
Mr.
you like
Dwyer's
what
on
you
board?
see, Mister Dwyer?"
Oh, I'm all dressed in ivory. Oh, come on, Dwyer.
Master of the house.
Yeah, he sees drunk Dwyer and he's like, "Uh, gentlemen, leave. I'll handle this situation." uh, Julie and Joey are
Ew.
are walking outside the pool. Uh, Joey tells Julie that he's missed her. Uh, And Julie's just like, "You could be a star. You're such a good dancer." And he's like, kissing my face. So they start smooching. But Sherry's watching from the deck above, starts to cry.
Always that deck.
Oh,
Always that deck. If I ever go on the Princess and I'm looking to have some adulterous affairs,
just look up at that
steer
deck.
clear of that open deck. That is
Go
always
somewhere
where people get
else.
in trouble.
It's a big boat.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Hit the sauna or something.
Something. Just something.
Get you some
Um,
cover.
Smooch. Sherry's want. Yeah, Julie asked about Sherry after the kiss, and Joey doesn't say anything. What's going on with you and Joey? Oh, your hair is beautiful, Julie. He doesn't want to talk about Sherry. She's like, Sherry, who? What? Where? Who? Uh, Jack and Kathy are walking outside, and the Vietnam guilt is killing Jack. Uh, Kathy strongly disagrees and says they did the right thing, and Jack says, "Stop it, Kathy. Just stop it."
Just stop.
So weird. Uh,
It's so melodramatic. It
it,
is so melodramatic.
well,
It's
especially their story, so ridiculous. Don't you stand next to me? It
stay
just
close.
there's no story there. This one and the Wendy story, there's nothing there.
No,
It's just
that's I actually have a note where it's like, if you had gotten rid of those two storylines and like called the reunion the fourth storyline, it's actually probably not a bad episode.
I
But
agree.
this
I
is
agree. Uh, Sherry and Joey walking in the cabin hallway. Sherry's pissed after
yeah.
seeing Julie and Joey smooching as she should be. And then I'm like, wait, are they married or not? Because like, why is she? It's weird. Um,
It's obtuse, right? How vague it is.
it's
But like
super.
they don't do a good job of actually making it vague. They
No,
just It was like lazy storytelling. Like they're obviously getting married. This is why Joey's freaking out. They're
it's just
pregnant. Like, sorry, spoiler. They're pregnant.
yeah, they're
So,
but still, but it's the whole thing is just
yeah.
Joey. The kiss happened, but I did not mean to. I meant to dance. You see, he
Yeah.
didn't mean to kiss her. And then he tells Sherry that he loves her and gives her a kiss. And now I'm like, what? What? But now
And
it just
Sher
reinforces the fact that Joey's a bit of a scumbag.
Right, because Sherry's like,
She's pregnant and with him, like,
right, and Sherry is like saying that, you know, she didn't intend to do it, but her actions are speaking differently than
well,
her words.
Joey's just completely just oblivious. That's probably what it is too. He's just he uh-oh, big scene, Mike. Big scene. Joey's on deck teaching passengers. And when I
Oh
mean
my
passengers, I mean like 20 of them. And Steubing and Gopher teaching them how to disco dance. You know who's not dancing? Mike Kelly, because he's watching these people dance and he's just laughing.
god. This is
It's
wild
wild. It's wild.
because,
It's like a
like,
variety show.
it's like a variety show slash video because,
Mhm.
like, at some point the camera tilts Batman style, like
Yeah, it does.
it's like
Yeah, it does.
sideways.
Get
Like,
crazy with it.
it is it is as close to a music video as
It
you could
really
see.
is. I
This
was
one,
expecting half the people to be on roller skates at one point.
yes. This one, and then later when they play the Love Boat disco theme.
Oh, it's
It's
just a Love Boat. It's
yeah,
just the
it
extended
is
loop of funky
it
Love Boat
is
theme.
wild because the
Yeah.
only other scene we've seen like this outside is when they did that workout,
Mhm.
which was like 10 seconds. But
But
this
this is a
feels like
whole
if it had been successful, there could have been a 33 or 45 record released of this. Like,
oh, I'm not convinced that there isn't, to be honest with you. I bet you there's something out there.
I don't know what it was when they turned the camera sideways a little bit. It just took it to a level I was not
I
ready
was
for.
like, "Whoa." They're trying to are they is that's when you know it's a party? Is that, "Whoa," just a little dip, like, "Whoa." I don't know. It's
God, it was amazing.
Julie asked Joey to teach her the dip step. He dips Julie, and Sherry is not happy.
Nope.
Uh, Doc interrupts Bitsy's disco lesson to apologize for having to leave last night. He explains that he's always on call. Bitsy says, "What's the date
Sir,
compared to a medical emergency?"
yeah.
I'm like,
She's like,
"Well,
serve it on toast, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, tell your story walking. Wendy and Pete are also learning the disco. Wendy tells him that she'd rather dance like this with him. Go, Pete. And then she makes no bones about what's on her agenda today. And,
Yep.
and Pete's like, "Can I get you a drink?"
Yeah.
She says it's early. And I said, but Wendy gives zero shits. Good thing Isaac isn't taking this class. Uh, Bob Denver alert. Again, where the hell has he been? He's dancing with Sherry, and oh no, it's the stomach pains again. And I wrote
Yeah.
pregnant.
This is where I figured it out. I will admit it took me till the second one to figure it out. But
It's such a TV thing to do,
yeah. Yeah.
He takes her to go sit down away from Disco University. Doc comes running up, man, like somebody hit an alarm, and I'm like, why are you running? What?
Next, Stone Bricker.
He went to show, oh yeah, Bitsy, watch me do medicine. And
Yep.
he's just running for anybody to ask if she's all right.
Look at all these emergencies I'm taking care of.
Look at me, I'm so busy, Bitsy. And then so it's just funny because where Sherry is, somehow she has a perfect view of Julie being super unprofessional at work, getting dipped and all this other nonsense, like unobstructed view. Amazing. Nice job, Bob Denver. Once you put her somewhere, oh, here comes Mr. Dwyer. And you're right. This is one of my favorite drinks coming up here. Ask Isaac for a Moscow Mule,
Yep.
which you know
Right in
how
the
I feel
morning,
about
too.
those.
Now
That's a
that
great
it's
drink.
funny because I've never thought about that in the context of a cruise drink, but that is an outstanding cruise drink. If you
Oh,
freeze the
absolutely.
Moscow Mule mugs and
Those
have
copper
one,
mugs. Oh, yeah, no,
tremendous, tremendous.
I'd rather have that than like a pina colada or something
I'd
like
rather
that.
have that than 90% of these boat drinks.
Even
Totally
Planter's
agree.
Punch.
I totally agree. Well, I like
Yeah,
Planter's Punch, but it's the same. But that's the same idea.
it's the same.
Just
It's
not as
just
cold,
juice and
right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not like just liquid sugar.
Right. Well, plus I don't like a lot of the citrusy stuff all the
No,
time either because you can't drink a bunch of them because you're gonna,
and the mule's
taste
good
that.
too. I love a Moscow, and that's a good.
Yes. It made me. I
Uh,
will say this: when he mentioned it, especially because it's been so cold, obviously in
mhm,
the winter here, it made me want a Moscow Mule
I like a Moscow Mule.
instead of this bourbon that I'm drinking. So
Isaac offers him coffee instead, some of my famous coffee, and he says coffee will kill you. Which kind of made me laugh.
did you notice
Mm,
something about Isaac in this scene? We are
mm,
witnessing Isaac
oh,
Washington in
I
sunglasses.
did notice that. I did notice that.
Finally, finally, after all these years, and he looks. These are real
These are
sunglasses.
good
These are not some BS
sunglasses.
sunglasses.
Um, I thought you were going to say we're going to get him to. We finally get to see him make a drink,
That
and,
too.
and I'm like,
Mm.
sort of. There was no stir, there was no shake, but I don't know if you shake a screwdriver.
No, I don't think you would. You might stir. You wouldn't
Stir it.
shake. Oh, it's orange juice and vodka, right? You wouldn't
Right.
shake that.
No,
You don't
with some
shake
ice.
most drinks,
Well, yeah,
I would
I just
say.
didn't know if
Yeah.
what if he was fancy
I
enough.
did notice that as well. So I think that counts. Plus he did hand out beers as well. So
Fair enough.
this felt like the most Isaac
We've seen him
moment.
work.
Yeah.
You
So
gives two of them to Pete. Gives one to Mr. Dwyer, and he takes a sip, and he realizes it's just OJ. He
son of a
says,
bitch.
"You son of a," he didn't say that, but he said, "I'm a paying passenger, and I need a drink now, or I'll tell the captain." And here's where shit gets real.
Yep.
Isaac says, "He's the one who told me not to serve you." Oh, Stu, you just been stubinged. How does that feel?
So mad. Can you imagine?
That's
That's
crazy on a
like
cruise.
leaving your wallet at home and going to a wedding and finding out they changed it to a cash bar.
Or like fly all the way to Amsterdam, and they're like, "We're out of it. We're out of everything."
Right.
What am I? I'm just here for the coffee and bad food now.
I don't
Sons of bitches.
I think he straddled the line and probably went over it, but Steubing obviously overstepped here, a
Well,
lot.
let me let me
But
ask you though.
the sentence where he says, "I'm a paying passenger," he is right. He's not being sloppy. He's not interrupting other people's good time. If you didn't know any better, Raymond Burr is just a passenger. That's
Yeah,
it.
but see, the thing is, this is different. Like to me, this isn't cutting somebody off. This is the next day saying you can't have a drink.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
They didn't stop him from drinking the day before when he had 3 scotches in a row. Like that was fine,
Well, and again,
you
like
know?
if you really want to make the point, you have Raymond Burr do a Chris Farley into the dinner table the night before, right?
Yes. Yeah, make a big scene.
But he
Yeah.
hasn't.
He wouldn't bother anybody. He was just
He is
being him.
self-contained alcoholic, the best kind of alcoholic. So,
Oh, it's funny. Well, Mr. Dwyer left the bar. He is pissed. We cut
now
right
what?
away.
Now you're
Huh?
just on a friggin' boat
Yeah, now
with
what are you gonna
people
do?
you hate. It's
Yeah.
like,
Uh, immediately we cut to Steubing and Dwyer on deck. I was like, wow. Like what if you were looking for Steubing up there, you probably didn't find him up there. So I don't know how. Anyway, Dwyer wants to know why he was cut off. Tells me drinks. It's a lot of info. Tells me drinks because he's a joke to his students, past and present. He says, I can quit drinking when I want to. I've done it 12 times. Oh, here comes soft shoe Merrill. Why don't you make it 13? Douchebag. Dwyer walks away. When Merrill tries to be
screw
sincere, it's the
you, dude.
grossest thing
I'm
in the
out of
world.
here.
Yeah, he's like, "No time for your nonsense. I'll go find a bar that's not the tiny bar that Isaac. There's another bartender that'll, you know."
Yeah, where's Norm Crosby? I'll go
Yeah,
find
where's
that
that
bar.
guy? He walks away. We go to break. And let me just say, Mike, at this break right here, this would be the end of a normal episode.
Which is funny because
There's that much left.
a little behind the scenes. I watched my first watching on Paramount Plus because I want to get that, beautiful, beautiful streaming.
Sure.
Um, I feel like the other two parters we've had an actual like break, credits, all that stuff. This one didn't. So I wasn't sure where the break was.
Yeah.
And there really was never that dramatic break.
Mm-mm.
Like if I remember the opener of this season, the dramatic break was when John Aston held everyone at gunpoint.
That's
So
true.
dramatic. So
Like 1
I
hour
didn't know when
left.
the break was.
Yeah.
And I realized it the second time, but that wasn't exactly the cliffhanger that they probably wanted it to be.
Well, you think about it, right? So we're an hour in to the episode. Like, there's not another hour's worth of material in this
Nope.
episode. Like,
No, it was funny.
jeez.
And it was funny. I started it in the context of, well, they can't be wasting Bob Denver like this, right?
Well,
But
they did.
but it really did. My mind did go to it pretty quickly. I was like, there's going to be a lot of disco
Yeah.
because I don't know what else they're going to do.
No, it's a lot of disco. But that's, oh, well. When we were back, Gophers had an outdoor table with a lot of people. Mike Kelly, Ross, Joey, Julie. They're having some military talk and laughs, telling
Yep.
war stories.
You know what's
Jack.
funny? Until this episode, it never, and again, this is because we're not of that age. If I was watching it in 1979, I would think this way.
Right.
It just never occurred to me in the context of this show that absolutely people who show up on this boat would be of
That
that
right
age.
age. Yeah.
Right. Like, because they just don't throw it down your throat that much. Like, even
Mm-mm.
Captain Dave,
Yeah.
he was in Turkey. Like, that wasn't Vietnam.
No,
So this made sense and will
I agree.
absolutely color my watching of this going forward. But I just never thought about it at all in this context.
That makes sense. No, I get it because it was just part of
Yeah.
like the current. Yeah.
Like for example, when we look at the ages of stuff and somebody's 28 years old on this show, it doesn't occur to me that yes, they were in Vietnam or a
Yeah. I
draft
don't
dog,
think of it. I
right?
don't even
Like there
think
was
about it.
yeah, so yeah.
Jack and Kathy are invited over. Mike asked Jack where he's been for the past 10 years. I think he keeps asking him this question. And he tells Mike he had a desk job like Gopher. And Ross, who's there, says, nothing to be ashamed of. You did your part. And I'm like, what is this? What? This guy Jack is hateable. Long, long dramatic pause.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine if
Like,
this was real and you ask a question and
there's
he
crickets.
just sits there staring at you for like 8 seconds?
Yeah,
Like,
but Mike already knew the answer.
that's the funny part.
That's why the thing.
Mike
Mike was
Mike
probably
let him
like,
Mike let him
"You
hang
son of a
himself,
bitch."
which is
Yeah,
funny.
like
Yeah. You know why? Because Mike Kelly is the greatest guy of all
he
time.
is the greatest guy. He
You know
holds
what?
no grudges.
They should sink this boat and start over. Mike Kelly, American hero.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it as long as
Just
it's
toss
wheelchair
this
accessible.
just toss this tubing overboard.
Goodbye. Give him his stupid
Go back to
shorts.
your favorite restaurant. Mike Kelly's in charge now.
Yeah, go back to your favorite restaurant that does not serve alcohol that we didn't find anything else about. Uh,
By the way, I don't
yeah,
wanna get, the Princess Cruise Line in trouble with OSHA, but do those elevators go to the top deck? How did Mike Kelly get upstairs?
he
There's
pulled
no
himself up.
ramps.
He's lower a rope to me, and he was
Or
just like,
he
"I'm
he's
Mike Kelly."
he swung like Billy Crystal.
That's it.
Yep.
Julie's on deck. Gopher walks up, asks if her and Joey will be going ashore. Tells her that everyone thinks they're an item. Here comes Sherry. She asked Julie to lay off of Joey. Tells her that she really loves him. Says that Joey's all she wants. Julie said, "You should be talking to Joey, not me." And Julie
Julie's
mutters,
not
"I do
wrong by
understand." She's
yeah,
not
Julie's not
wrong, but
she's not wrong by
she's
saying this. I needed this scene to have a little more bite from
yeah,
Sherry.
it wasn't yeah, Sherry should
Julie should not have
something.
been the heavy in this.
No, no,
Not that heavy.
no.
Because
She said straight up, like, do
this
not touch
made
him.
Julie look like a villain. Like,
Well, I don't
because
think this did because she said, "I do understand." I think
but
that when she gets riled up by Gopher again, she's like,
you're right.
"Screw it."
Sorry. This scene alone doesn't, but in the
Yeah, yeah, but
context of everything it
it's
does.
setting up for her
Because
heel turn, you know?
exactly. No, it really is because you're 100% right. This is a heel turn situation because she has been asked to step down.
Like, step down. It's like,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Uh, Bitsy and Doc are outside on deck. Doc again saying, I really did have an emergency.
I am
Then
a
he
real
says,
doctor.
"I am a real
I
doctor."
swear to God. Have you seen Bricker?
He said he tells her, "So what, you're chubby?" And she says, "Nope, I am a fat lady," which I was just like, ugh. He
Mhm.
invites her to dinner. She asks if it's a mercy date. He says no. She says, "Pick me up at 7 and we can talk about it." All right. Something weird happened at this cut. I don't know if it was a commercial break. It was very soon for a commercial break, but there was a hard cut. I don't know
Yeah,
what
that was a
happened.
quick break. I wonder if that was like, you said the last break was the kinda end of the first hour, so
It just happened. Yeah,
I
this is
wonder
a
if they do a short one to start hour 2,
oh, maybe. Yeah, it was
you
a
know?
weird cut.
Yeah,
Oh, like maybe do they run
because other
the
shows
intro?
wouldn't be in breaks, so you do the break to it's like something like
Oh,
that,
were
so
they going to do the whole intro again? Do you think they didn't on
no,
the one that I
because I
saw?
think we've seen that in other two-parters, so I don't
You know,
think
we
they
have.
did the intro in this one. That's what
Yeah.
threw me off.
Steubing and Dwyer are exiting the ship together. Steubing mentions how good the food is at the place he's taking him. The chef is a personal friend of mine, and I'm going Borgia or
Now
Boyardee.
we get the, we get the overhead shot of Steubing and Raymond Burr walking off the ship, an actual ship,
Yeah, that was
into
cool.
town,
I
which
like
we
that.
also saw in the Richard Mulligan and
Yeah,
his lady friend, episode. So,
I like seeing that
I it does add a little bit. It's not
context.
necessarily necessary, like, it could be it's probably a 5-second crane shot, but, it did add a little layer to
I
things,
thought
so
so. Um, the chef comes out. I'm sorry, Dwyer immediately orders a margarita. The waiter tells him that they do not serve alcohol here.
wah, wah.
Why would a restaurant in a touristy okay, you know
Do you
what?
think well,
Doesn't even
okay,
matter.
here's my question. Do you think they don't serve alcohol, or do you think Steubing called ahead?
No, they made it sound like, "Oh, senor, we don't serve alcohol here." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible
Either
terrible
way, it's
restaurant.
weird.
And why
Uh,
are Ross and Bob Denver there?
it doesn't make any sense because they
No
didn't
way
wanna
those
have
guys are
fun.
going to this dry restaurant.
They wanted to have no fun.
Yeah.
Also, there's no salsa. You just get dry chips at this place.
We ran out of taco shells.
You've got no taco shells. We have dried flour tortillas. That's it.
I can put all the fixins in your hand.
Mhm. We can do nachos on top of a napkin. Awful. Uh,
Notchkins.
uh, Chef comes out and hugs Steubing. Bob Denver and Ross are talking shit about Dwyer.
Within earshot.
He's right there.
Enough to hear him, not enough to see him.
Well, he's sober. How do they not see that guy walk in? Come on. They both start laughing at Mr. Dwyer, and Mr. Dwyer is out. But of course, the second he leaves, Bob Denver tells Ross that Mr. Dwyer was the best teacher they ever had. Steubing comes back, scans the restaurant, and he looks concerned. And I'm like, well, maybe he went to the bathroom. Maybe you shouldn't look so concerned.
Maybe you
you
shouldn't just ditch this dude in a restaurant he's never been to. You know what?
This guy doesn't even know you.
So I feel like you might agree with me on this. You have peccadillos at restaurants the same way I do.
Yeah.
You hate it when it's you and another person, probably your wife, and they have to use the bathroom, but they haven't taken your order yet. Do you like them to wait until the order's been taken before they go? Because then the waiter comes back and he's got to come back like 3 or 4 more times because the second person isn't there.
Ideally, if you're going to make that move, like, let me know what you want to order.
Exactly.
So then I can like make that happen if the waiter comes back up, or if the waiter doesn't come back up because he doesn't see the other person. I get that too.
Exactly.
But don't leave me unarmed, you know?
Right. I'm just saying, like, you leave now. Now there's no one at the table.
Yeah, it's just if you're going there to eat, then like one of the things you can do to help yourself the most are to order the food. Like
that's like the biggest thing, because then the rest of it, you can go to the bathroom all you want. Or just
you can go every 5 minutes if you like. It's free.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
I was just saying, that would be something that would, like, if I was, I don't even know who I'm blaming here, Merrill or Raymond Burr. But
he's just, Merrill left them there to go, oh, hey, I'm going to go hug this person.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe sit with the person you brought to a strange restaurant, Merrill, because it's all about Merrill. That's why.
Why do you have to go back to the kitchen?
Why are you in uniform?
Why are you wearing those shorts?
What are you doing? Jack is drinking. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Wendy and Pete hand in hand. She asked him if he's responsible for her being on the cruise. Pete sent out the invitation, not the ticket. Wendy's out of there. Again, it's Tom. Hey, Wendy, it's Tom.
Do you think that Pete sent out the invitation because he's a mailman? Or do you think he actually sent them out?
He literally sent them out.
I was, as the kids say, I was shipping Pete and Wendy there. I was kind of disappointed that's when I realized where we were going, because I actually thought, oh, okay, it is Pete. That makes sense.
It's Pete.
No, it's not Pete.
Jack is drinking. Great. Kathy tells him to come clean with Mike and tell him the truth. Now Jack's all mad at Kathy. This is so choppy. That was it. And it cuts back. Here comes the choppiness. Yeah.
I was going to say, so is this the scene where the wife is like, so wait a minute, if you didn't go to Canada for the cause?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there are two answers to that, right? If you didn't go to Canada for the cause, you went because A, you were scared of going to Vietnam. Totally get it. Or I loved you, my wife, and decided to follow you. Either option is good. What's her name? Kathy? Like come on, man. Like,
you should have said we moved. I went there for better job opportunities. I mean, basically.
I mean, that's the most romantic thing you can do.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
And look at him with a t-shirt company. All these people wouldn't have t-shirts.
Those t-shirts with graphics on them.
We love them.
So wait, hold on. Before the Forbes' t-shirt company, every t-shirt was blank. It was just like Hanes.
Well, these are blank too, a lot of them. And then they just have like a little like maple leaf instead of like the fruit salad, the fruit of the loom fruit salad in the back.
Oh, see, I thought the graphics were like, fuck the war.
Down with USA. Like all this burn Carter burn, like awful.
Suck it, LBJ.
Yeah. Apple pie sucks. Like anything. Who eats hot dogs? Like stuff like that. Mr. Dwyer's nowhere to be found as the ship is about to leave Puerto Vallarta. Steubing tells Doc there's no sign of him. Says if he doesn't show up now, we'll sail without him. Don't worry, Meryl, because here he comes.
Ring a ding ding.
He's hammered, and he offers Meryl a birthday cake. Let's not lie to ourselves. We know what happened with that cake off camera. He was nervous eating.
So he says, "Happy birthday, General," which is great because it's a double dig. He makes Steubing say he's not a general. I don't know how drunk you are, Raymond Burr, but you are slinging it.
That's great. It's great. Tells Gopher to take him to his cabin. Doc says, "Thanks, Doc. There isn't anything he can do to help because it's more than a medical problem." And Meryl's
that,
like,
right?
I know. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, and now I think about that email we got about the signs of alcoholism. Remember that whole?
Yep.
And here we are.
God, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about this last night.
We
I was like,
have to have a guest.
Oh wow, we might have to have that guest on. Well.
Anyway, that's probably for a special Bricker. CBS Thursdays at 9.
A little behind baseball.
Yep.
Ross calls Peter DeLuca up in the lounge to play a game of Where Are They Now? Which
right. So this is it's in the lounge, but they're basically doing. Is it just like it is a catch up, right? But it's like I guess they're just this is to your point earlier, which is if you're not part of the reunion, this is really weird that the Acapulco Lounge has been commandeered by taken over.
Like what about the guy who just wants to swim laps? You know, can't do it. They'd be very short laps. Julie sees Sherry and Joey laughing together. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry. I stepped on it. This is where Pete DeLuca was the class clown.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Hey, Pete, what are you doing now?" He's like, "Oh, I'm the president of the United States." And then they're like, so they were right. And, man, it goes on for a while.
It's a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. Again, there's not a lot of meat on this bone. They just keep adding more. Gopher sees Julie witnessing Sherry and Joey laughing together because, and asks what happened to Miss Life at the party. She says the party is over and she agreed to lay off of Joey. Gopher doesn't know what he's talking about. He encourages Julie not to give up. Worst advice ever. And of course, Julie decides to take it immediately.
I need zero motivation to move past this. What?
So bad.
What percent of this reunion planning that Julie was involved in, which I assume was pretty high, was Joey related?
All of it.
Because she never really talks to anybody else. Like, she was really excited running down the hallways and all this stuff.
It was all Joey based.
But she kind of talked to Wendy for like a minute, but really it was just...
She didn't see Joey yet.
Yeah. No.
It's that... Oh, I hope he's wearing
that long con.
Oh, it is.
You know who's not going to be happy about this? Is
Sherry.
Jack Chenault.
Well, no, he wants no.
Season 3, episode 1. Jack Chenault
wants none of this.
Not going to be happy.
He's like, why am I crying? I cried out of nowhere in Alaska. I don't know, something.
You know what?
There's a disturbance.
A terrible mother to my children.
It's terrible. Julie walks up to Joey and Sherry, says she wants to have a funky disco on the last night. Asks Joey to help her put it together. He agrees. She asks Sherry to excuse them for just a minute. I'm like, and I put Sherry's great at looking sad.
Yes. She had this cooked up. Either she had it cooked up the whole time or she's a psychopath because Gopher gives this fight till the fight's done advice. And she comes up with this whole disco scam.
Yeah, I don't know
within from the time it takes
2 seconds.
to walk from Gopher to Disco Joey.
I think she's she's super crazy.
Here, I usually put up some barriers when you go in on Julie being crazy. This is just crazy Julie episode.
Yeah.
This is We haven't seen this Julie in a while.
No. This season 1 Julie.
This is priest Julie. Yeah.
Bitsy and Doc are walking on deck. He tells her that he feels another emergency coming on and points to his heart and goes in for the smooch. This guy, come on. Here's
Killer.
Wendy, still wandering around the ship. Bob Denver approaches her, hits her with his best
Young,
astrology-related
young
pickup line.
28-year-old Bob Denver.
Young 28-year-old Robert Denver. He
Robbie.
tries this terrible astrology pickup line, and I wrote, Wendy is as dumb as a box of rocks. And
Oh,
somehow she feels that Bob Denver is the guy, which she wants to
plus
believe
she
so bad
hasn't
that
like
she's willing to believe anybody, even a
she hasn't picked up on
54-year-old
the
man. Hmm?
she hasn't picked up on the fact that she's 0 for 2 with this thing.
When he's 54.
There is that, and he's someone's younger brother.
What, right? How old is that?
How old's Ross?
Awful. Oh, that's funny. Next morning, Bitsy and Doc are hand in hand. Looks like the next morning. She asks, "Did you mean those sweet things you said last night?" And Doc says, "Absolutely." I thought that was sweet. We cut Steubing and Dwyer
They
on the bridge.
connotated they
Hmm.
connotated business too, because Doc
Oh,
said the only thing he said that wasn't true was that he told her it was 2 a.m., but it was really 3 a.m.
yeah,
So.
he knows what's up. I bet you they did the pajama thing too. We were robbed of a pajama sharing scene.
I mean, I
Anyway,
think Doc is running away with
it's not even close, man.
intercourse this year.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
even. We would cut to Steubing Dwyer on the bridge. I'm like, why is Steubing here? He's trying to get Dwyer to drink some coffee.
Oh,
Steubing tells,
aggressively.
yeah, yeah.
Aggressively.
Like, damn, dude, like, relax on the coffee.
Drink it. Drink it.
Uh,
You know what? I
Steub,
drink a lot of coffee during the day. You
yeah,
should have 3 cups of coffee on top of each other in like a half hour.
no, no,
Like,
it's still. What is your
you're just
expected
gonna burst his
reaction?
heart, Meryl. Like,
Oh,
you know what? If you want to like cartoonishly get him sober, dunk him in a tank of water.
no
Like,
kidding. You're surrounded by dunk tank
yeah,
everywhere you
exactly.
look. Um, Steubing says he needs help. Steubing says he does understand that 10 years ago when he separated from Stacy,
All right, hold
love
on.
it.
We got to stretch out for this one.
Yeah, yeah,
So it starts out with, he's like, Raymond Burr is like, what do you know about it?
yeah. I got it all written down too. I got it all.
He's like, what do you gotta know? What do you know
What do
about
you
it? Have you
know
ever known
about
what
it?
it's like to want to drink so bad you could Meryl's like, you'd kill for it?
Because I almost did. So Steubing explains to Mr. Dwyer that 10 years ago, when he first was separated from Stacy, that he was overwhelmed or overcome with loneliness and rejection. But I don't know why he would say rejection because he's the one that chose the sea. If anybody, I mean, let's get deep on this. Episode 1. This is Love Boat 101. He
Well, let's
chose the
get deep
sea,
on it. Let's also get deep on it with the Vicky episode, which is
right?
they said 10 years to cover
Oh, this.
Vicky not being Steubing cheating
Oh,
because
okay.
she's 9 years old.
Oh, they're really careful with that. I like it. I like that
That
they did
felt
it.
very purposeful
That's good.
that it was 10 and 9. So
He said he started to drink one evening after a couple of scotches. Driving to the ship, he nearly hit a child. I would love to know what his definition of nearly is. He sat in the car and cried and cried and cried and cried some more.
also, I gotta say,
Yeah.
he originally says, well, I don't have a problem. I don't drink while I'm on duty.
He
But then we get
just,
to this part. But he was driving to the ship.
yeah. You were going to be, oh, you were
You
going
were
to be,
pre-gaming. You were pre-gaming the ship
were you
driving.
just driving around so you sobered up to get on the ship? What are you going to elementary schools? Like, what are you doing, Steubing, you madman?
Shouldn't kids be in school? This boat leaves at like 1.
This is the craziest boat ride I've ever seen. And he's singing show tunes out the window and he's got shorts on.
Oh God.
It tells Mr. Dwyer there's no alternative and that he just stopped and we go to break.
Hold on.
Also, there are
Hold
still 32 minutes left in this
on.
episode at this point.
All right. So as I'm watching it, I was not ready for this scene. I didn't see this scene coming. But as it started, and I really appreciate the Stacy Steubing nugget. I think that's a bunch of those now.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I do appreciate it. But as the scene starts to unfold, I'm like, well, I know how they would normally end a scene like this.
Mm-hmm.
But even us, who are not continuity editors for the Love Boat, know that you can't possibly say that Meryl hasn't had a drink in 10 years because
No, we've seen it.
I can think of 5 episodes off the top of my head
Yep.
where he has had a drink. But yet, they insist that he has not had a drink in 10 years.
Yeah, right.
So
what he says here too, like you're saying, well, I zoomed down way too much. Yeah, he said he just stopped. Hasn't had a drink since.
Yeah, great advice, Meryl. Just stop. Just don't drink.
Just
there you go.
You know.
But he's had drinks
of course
with
he has.
Dinners. Michelle Lee. He had fine like wines and stuff.
Yes. Remember the giant bottle of wine that he brought over to the I mean, he's always
right, yeah.
He's so
always
full of it.
The funny part is, a couple episodes ago, that Karen Maynard one, Doc's lie about Steubing was that he got drunk and wrecked the ship twice.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe there's some truth to it.
If only we had an expert on addiction that could join us.
If we could just have someone who could explain how this would work. Wow.
Whoops.
Oopsie. That would have been really, really timely. Wow. It would have worked out perfectly. Damn.
Who knew?
Who knew? We're back. Bob Denver's rubbing Wendy's shoulder, still talking about astrology and energy. She reads the poem. She still thinks Bob Denver wrote it, even after he asked who wrote it. Wendy's just not.
It's good. It's good work here by Bob Denver. He's doing a lot of like, great, who cares? Like he's kind of, like he's doing good work. It's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault.
This is also where he mentions that he's rich. So
it just keeps getting more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Julie and Joey, she's asking how to set up for the big disco event. They start smooching. Total scumbag move. Both of them. Both of them scumbag. More so on Joey.
All 3 of them. It's a scumbag move in this scene. Because as they are smooching, and Julie throws herself at him in this scene, like literally. They're talking about speakers, and then she's like, I can't wait to get all funky.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I got interest in a lot of stuff, and they're making out, and then Gopher shows up.
Yeah. It was a little
stands there as they're making out.
So weird. Like pleased with himself. It's weird.
He's a hall monitor in a big red commercial. Like it's just
very weird. We see Bitsy playing ping pong with Doc standing next to her as Isaac and Gopher approach. The guys walk together. More fat jokes, and Doc threatens to punch him if he says another fat joke. Good for you, Adam.
Yeah, this is 42 episodes in. This is the worst 1 minute of Burl Smith we've seen, because he goes from standing next to 2 people making out to get his dig in, walks down the steps, and then takes the fat jokes. And Doc should have punched him, honestly.
I agree.
It's very un-Gopher-like.
Completely. And we said
Gopher's a lot of things. He's not like a dick.
He's not mean.
Exactly.
Denver and Wendy. Bob Denver, Wendy. Wendy wants to know more about him. Tells her he's rich, and she realizes she's been wasting time with him.
Markham Steel.
Hey,
merch store.
Denver Steel.
Does Markham Steel compete with Businessman #1? Whatever that was.
I don't know. In the first voicemail, or the voice answering machine, we've got
the Gary Collins internet.
Gary Collins answering machine. We're back to Kathy and Jack. Kathy's saying, "Don't shut me out, Jack." Jack now regrets running to Canada, which is it's gotten so ridiculous now. And he says again for the 5th time in the episode, "I really need to come clean with my best friend Mike." Like, stop it. Just don't. Just stay in bed.
Also, you know what? Let's get to work on that marriage.
It's something like maybe we should ask each other quiz questions so we know each other
Oh,
better.
he was like, "Man, you just always need a call." It's just
Just
like, good
ridiculous.
lord.
Gopher and Isaac walk up to Doc and apologize for their jokes earlier. This made me happy. Doc
Now,
forgives them both. They ask Doc why her. Here we go.
Doc, Doc
Doc
gets
Doc's
Doc
about to
gets the spotlight,
he
and he starts going.
yeah,
And I will say
smoky lens, please. He says,
he he has a lot of good points. He does a great Bricker speech,
this
but
is
Bernie Capel clearly was not off book because like every 3 lines he looks down, so, and it looks like he's taking a beat, but
it's
he's
not.
like, and I need a woman who punctures that
He's like
male ego of
he's like,
mine, and
all women are beautiful.
right, and he's like, let
Women
me be happy.
a woman doesn't have to be a centerfold, and he look
Yeah, he
to
looks
make me
down.
laugh.
It's like, it's
He
like
says, yeah,
Bernie.
it's
Hey, listen,
poor
Bernie
Bernie.
can't read with a glare, so give him a notepad at the
Yeah,
bottom. It's like
relax here.
the story was with the later seasons of Cheers is that they had all their lines written on bar napkins. So
I mean, however you got to do it.
yep, hey, it worked, but
It
it was
worked.
very obvious. So
Steubing and Mr. Dwyer enter for dinner. It's 24 hours without a drink. Doc interrupts them so he can introduce Bitsy to Steubing. Mr. Dwyer's at the bar, not having fun. He reaches for a drink that isn't there, which I thought was interesting.
I've done that.
And then
This is
he,
where he does his sober
yeah,
overacting,
yeah,
which is Isaac asks how he's doing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm having as much fun as I ever had with a root canal and 2 crowns on the same day without anesthesia."
he tells, he does tell Steubing, he says, just throw him overboard. It'll be quicker. That's what he
Steven tells him to commit suicide on his boat. The paperwork alone would drown you, Merrill. This is
Yeah, you
aggressive.
better. You'll never
This is
wear shorts like that again. You never
all
work
the
on this
Steubing
town.
stuff. All the Steubing stuff has been over the top, but like
You'd think that one. You'd
that was
think that
aggressive.
one might be a little rough. Like
I don't know you, dude. I've
showing him
known you
tough
for like
love.
3 days.
He's trying to take him to Mexico. Like, what is really going on here? What are you doing?
I know what
Like,
he's doing. He's
yeah, I
trying to
know.
he's trying to have
Yeah,
marital
he's
relations with
trying to
her.
have make out with Raymond Burr is what he's doing.
He's gonna old Ironside.
Yeah, old Ironsides. You know, uh, he's the one that called the doctor. He was concerned when Raymond Burr when they were smooching and he passed out. He was like, "Oh my goodness, Gofa, Gofa."
How great would it
uh,
be if if like later seasons it's just Malcolm Dwyer is Steubing's wife.
oh God. Oh, all the
And they
acting and
never
singing,
acknowledge it. It's just like,
and they're
like they're gonna bring that
super
Eleanor back from a couple weeks ago, but these guys have way better chemistry.
and they're super affectionate, like over the
Absolutely.
top affectionate.
Absolutely.
Donut time, Meryl. Uh,
Oh
all right,
man,
donut
poor
2.
Isaac.
Add
He'd
another
need to
donut.
hire Stephanie back to help
It's
with that
terrible.
donut shift at
Yeah,
3.
she's not
Those
down
two.
with that jive ship. Uh, we hear an announcement. Farewell Disco is now in progress on the Riviera deck.
Shout out to the what was that guy's title? It was like the captain of the reef or something.
Yeah, some kind of weird. Uh, First of all, it's super dark.
Very
Doc
dark.
and
Okay, that wasn't just my TV.
it's
That was
super
very
dark,
dark.
super
Yeah.
dark. Doc and Bitsy arrive. Everybody's dancing except Mike Kelly, but he doesn't seem to care. Mike
No.
Kelly's in a great mood.
Mike Kelly is having a party no matter where he's at.
He's fine. Mike Kelly is on so much morphine and opium at this point. He doesn't care about anything.
This is
Uh,
where so I saw a note on IMDb
mhm,
after I'd watched it where they were saying, this was clearly an episode that was shot on location with the ship
yeah.
because you don't see a lot of the normal sets. And honestly, except for the stairwell, I don't think you really do.
No, I agree.
We have talked about the dance floor a lot this season, how it's been so small
Mhm.
and kind of like everybody's pressed into each other. This obviously was not that.
No, they got rid of every table. They got
Right.
rid of that, or they got rid of the Pirates Cove.
The DJ, I assume it's a DJ. It gets a like a bit of a glamour shot, and
Yeah,
he's way in the back. But this is clearly an actual dance floor
yeah,
on a ship.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. This is like a real deal.
yeah.
Um, Wendy's at the bar and she's bummed. She still hasn't found him, saying she shouldn't have broken up with Tom, which we know at 5 minutes and 16 seconds into this episode, the storyline was over anyway. Enter Mr. Dwyer. Steuben walks up to him. Dwyer is drinking water and he's sober. Good for you.
Yep.
Here comes Jack and Kathy. They see Mike and they approach him. Jack wants to talk to him in private.
Hey, Mike, you having a good time? Let me drag
Yeah.
you out of this.
Let me wheel you over here and give you some bad news. Jack tells Mike that when he was in college, he got his draft notice, gave it a lot of thought, moved to Canada until the war was over. And Mike says he knew. Jack's mom told him all about it. He explains that they both did what they had to do, and then Jack just took a stand for what he believed in. They hug and they both shed tears. And then Mike's probably like, I don't even really know this. Who is this guy again? Who? Jack who?
Could
It's a
you?
waste of time.
It's wild that Jack's mom could just write a letter to Mike. I feel like I don't know
Unless he
all
called.
my friends. I don't think I know all my friends' parents' addresses.
Well, what if he called?
Yeah.
Would Jack's mom give it up?
Is mom wrong for not telling Jack that she told Mike?
No, I think she's wrong for telling Mike. Oh, by the way, my son ran to Canada. Like what? She doesn't know how that's going to play out. You know what I
Well,
mean?
we don't know is we
Mm,
don't know what Jack's relationship is with his mom.
that's true.
She might be like, my son's dead.
And we see apparently his remains are in
Yeah.
Edmonton. You know,
My son, Aaron Burr, who ran to Canada, is
that's it.
dead. So, Aaron Burr.
Mm. Nowadays, she's a huge Connor McDavid fan. It's so weird.
This is where Michael Cole, but he really earned his money in this scene.
Yeah, it
He
was good.
just came out firing. This
He was great.
was way too good for a Love episode.
Mike
Like this
Kelly's
little
Michael
this little
Cole.
2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, he
Great.
was excellent. I don't know if Michael Cole is back. Probably not. He's too good for this nonsense, but he was really good. And I wish they would have given him more to do.
Me too. Here comes Joey into the disco.
Oh!
He starts dancing with Julius. Sherry watches. Some group dance begins.
This
And
is where
thankfully,
we get
this is where
and this is so I have seen this in like the
I've seen it.
70s blaxploitation movies,
It's
like a
the
lot of the
train
Pam Grier
thing.
movies, where it's
Yeah.
this big group scene, and then you just get this like voices that come up in the back of the soundtrack. It happened earlier as well.
Yeah.
With the first scene where it's like, go get him, teach, and all that stuff. But it's just like all this like
Piped
weird
in.
voiceover stuff, and it's like it just feels very fake.
It does feel fake.
And
It
then we
does feel
lead
fake.
into the Love Boat disco theme.
Well, it's so dark too.
It's
Like
very
I get dark, but I'm like, really? Like,
yeah.
he starts dancing with Julie as Sherry watches, and the group dance begins, and thankfully this kills a few minutes.
Like a lot.
Oh, it was a lot. It was
Like
great.
they played 3 full songs
Yeah.
because they had the song that started, the
Kept
Julie
going.
and Joey adultery theme,
Literally
and then the
15,
Love
10,
Boat disco
15.
theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote they're dancing to an extended version of the Love Boat theme song. Sherry falls to the ground. Doc checks on her, and Joey takes her off the dance floor.
Oh,
Get on the floor. Get off the floor.
that's
Doc
not a
says,
move we do.
Doc tells Julie that she's pregnant, but Joey doesn't know.
Adam.
What? Why
HIPAA.
would HIPAA?
Adam.
Something?
Doc
Come on, man.
vacillates with his HIPAA protections.
He doesn't. I only take one. I take the Hippocratic, not the Hippocratic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you shouldn't tell
No,
Julie she's pregnant.
no, God, no. And we go to another break.
So while we're at break, I would, and I know we're going long, but I don't care. I would like to point out that this is the second time
Mhm.
that Julie McCoy is hooked up with a man who leaves the boat with his pregnant and or just
Yep.
gave birth girlfriend slash wife.
Yep.
Julie has had a bit of a lull here, right? We have not really had a lot of crazy Julie.
No.
But if you look at the list that they have put this poor woman through, who is the who the least problematic hookup that Julie McCoy has had
Mm.
in 42 episodes? Richard Dawson.
Oh boy. That's funny. That's funny. I
That
forgot
is
about the secret
wild.
Dawson hookup. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Interesting. We're back from break. Julie's walking in the cabin hallway, knocks on Joey his door,
hey,
checks
what's
on
up at the door?
checks on Sherry, tells him that she's sorry for throwing herself at him. That's not well. Joey said he was scared. Seeing her reminded him what it was like in high school. They both go in to see Sherry. It was a little weird thing here, but
Well,
the
I'd tell you
disco
one thing.
continues. It's hmm,
If I'm Sherry, I do not want Julie in that room.
that's the last person I want in that room.
That's honestly, and this is classic Julie. I will say, this is where you gotta just. I'm not going there tonight. I'll catch you in the
No,
morning.
no. Like, can we just
Or
have a
something.
little bit of
Yeah,
like,
that's. But that was when she basically pressed Doc
yeah.
for information because she felt so guilty, right? I don't know if she thought. I don't know if Julie thought that she basically had killed Sherry with her adultery, but
I think she just wanted to know how long she was going to be away. Like, how
oh,
long
that's.
do I have with Joey?
Or is she gonna die?
Right. And in
Yeah,
that case, I've got forever.
that makes sense.
How's your dad?
Ooh.
Uh, Bitsy makes an announcement. She awards the Halo Award to Ross Randall. Ross says thanks and then wants to share the award with the newly sober Mr. Dwyer, and a new scholarship is being named after him.
Huzzah. Do you
Nice.
think it's like a scholarship for a state school because aren't state schools free for residents of California?
That's what it is. It's the
Yeah.
cheapest.
So, congratulations.
Uh, Dwyer stands up, says he's grateful and touched. He wished he was their parent, so he'd have them all for a lifetime.
That was weird.
That's a weird line, man. He gets choked up and sits back down. Weird
Oh,
line.
this is terrible.
And
So
then this
Steubing cleans up.
in the
He's like,
worst. Steubing feels it because it's
yeah,
about Steubing.
they've known each other for 3 days.
For 3 days, Steubing says, in the words of Malcolm Dwyer,
The immortal Malcolm
immortal.
Dwyer.
Oh, class dismissed. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
how do you even know that? Everybody claps. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We see Steubing holding a walkie-talkie next to his
Yep.
2 sticks that he's not touching them though.
We didn't
So
get to him. They cut it. They
he
cut
didn't have
it.
time. He didn't have time. He wasn't drinking, so he didn't have time to get to him. Mike is leaving the ship with Jack and Kathy, is going to go work with Jack moving forward. Great. Mr. Dwyer's leaving, and he and Steubing plan on keeping in touch.
No shot.
None.
0 shot.
No.
They never
Meryl's
speak
like,
again.
he hasn't called.
No.
Isaac Gopher and Mr. Dwyer break into song. Yeah, of course they do. Wendy sees Tom waiting for her. He admits to sending her the ticket in the poem. He wanted to help her find a man of her dreams to get it out of her system. She says she found him and hugs Tom and crushes the flowers he brought for
Kind of a psychotic reasoning there
her.
by
Yeah,
Tom. He's
I've
like,
never
get
left
it out
the
of your
dock. I've been
system.
here. Doc and Bitsy doing some goodbye smooching, and they plan on visiting San Francisco together. I love how that ended.
I
They were
like
great
that
together.
when they just leave it open ended. Like
Yes,
we're never gonna hear about Bitsy again, right? But
she was
it's like
great though.
I just like that. Like, give me a couple more weeks of these two getting together. That's good.
I was such a fan of her.
Yep.
Joe
No.
and Sherry walking down the stairs together, smooching the whole way. They're getting married. They're opening a disco school. And Julie, I guess this is goodbye. Poor Julie. Bob Denver and Pete pick Julie up, and the lobby does the Haley High chant they did to start the cruise.
Yeah. Like she won the Super Bowl.
Oh, end of episode.
That how awkward do you knowing you, I think you would find this very awkward.
I
But how
love Paul.
awkward is that for Julie to have to say that, oh, they're getting married when everyone, they were not subtle in their hookups, right?
No, because then everyone's
This
like,
is very
"Geez,
awkward
Julie."
for an adult to be doing
Again, she's
at
at
work.
work. At
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And that's it, sir. That's the
Yeah.
deep dive, episode 18.
That was a rather consequential final act, but we can't even call it Act 5 because it was like Act
Just
19.
Act 27. Yeah.
Totals in a recap. We are sitting at best episode 3, Cruise Ship Casanova, Captain Dave. We have a debate for worst episode at this time.
Yeah.
Episode 13, Pepito, episode 16 last week.
I don't even know where to.
We don't really count the two-parters, right?
Oh,
Like,
because
they are a different thing.
And that's why I think at some point we should look at the two-parters and kind of maybe rank them, but
I think you're right.
it's not fair to rank them. There's too much time, and
I think this is better than the other one from this season, though.
I think it's definitely better than yeah, I think so.
This was an episode of The Love Boat.
Absolutely.
If anything, I would say this felt like this is probably an episode of Love Boat that I thought The Love Boat was.
This felt like 1979, The Love Boat. 100%.
Very much. This
100%.
really did feel like we were dropped into February 3rd, 1979.
Yeah, for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was wild. It was over. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it was overwhelming. I think there were parts that were good. I don't think there was anything great, and I think that probably hurt it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And I do think, and we've said this about every two-parter, I think, if you scaled back a little bit, you could probably get yourself a pretty good episode.
They would have had a great episode if this was a standard 44 minutes.
Yeah, if you get rid of the Wendy stuff,
get rid of the Wendy.
Get rid of and it sucks because I don't want to get rid of Mike Kelly, but if you get rid of that storyline, you probably have a pretty good episode.
I think so. So.
But interesting. It moved for two. I'm sure you didn't feel that way because you were doing the notes, but it definitely felt like it moved. So.
It moved. I mean, yeah, it moved. It moved more than the last two-parter. I'll say that.
Yeah. I think, and I was going to say this off the air, but we can say it on the air. I think when we do the two-parters, we should split in the middle, and one of us does half the notes, and the other does the other half.
Fair enough.
I think that feels like a better.
Yeah, but the only thing is you lose context. I think that's the only thing. It's hard to jump in halfway through.
Oh, I agree.
You lose all the context. It is what it is. Listen, the crew had to work overtime. That's all right. This guy had to work a little overtime.
You worked a lot more than most of the crew. Isaac worked, and Doc. Actually, Doc worked a lot this week.
Yeah,
he had two.
Yeah,
he had 2 cases.
Yeah, he was great.
That never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Captain of the week, best performance for this week.
It's Bricker.
He was good.
He was good. There's nobody else that was better than Bricker.
He was good. Conchita Farrell is part of that, but yeah, Bricker was really good. And like we said, we saw him being a doctor.
Yep.
We saw him being a lover. We saw him
standing
being
up too.
Humanitarian.
Yeah. Him not dealing with that nonsense. It was good. It was good.
No, I honestly, I think it's really not even close.
Mm-mm.
Like I said, I liked a lot of the performances despite the ages. I thought Pete DeLuca was really good. I thought Ross was pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked Raymond Burr for what it was. It was just kind of like a nonsense.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was Raymond Burr playing Raymond Burr, essentially.
Yeah. Walk the plank, worst of the week.
I don't want to say, I'm not going to say Stubing. I'm going to say Wendy. Because I just didn't.
Yeah.
Again, 5 minutes and 14 seconds into the episode, we already figured it all out. That is the definition of a walk the plank role. To me on the Love Boat, it meant we already figured it out.
Yeah. The only thing that saved me from that, as opposed to some other ones we've seen, is I didn't hate it. It just was non-consequential, right? There are some where it's like all caps, hate, that kind of thing. At least it wasn't that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I don't disagree. This was a waste of time. I have a bunch of little ones. I really didn't like the Draft Dodger couple. They were rough, and it was just a lot of one note stuff, especially when you compare it to Mike Kelly, who was great.
He was great.
I think I'm gonna do it because it never happens. I'm gonna say Gopher.
Yeah,
Just a bad character effort for him, untrue to the character that we've
they went
seen,
against. That's not.
and that's not gonna happen ever again,
No, it's not fair.
honestly.
It's not fair to that
Um,
character. I thought.
yeah, so
Like it's just crappy.
I'm gonna give it to Gopher. We
Sure.
are avoiding giving it to Julie.
Yeah, I can't. I
It
can't.
was a bad Julie week.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
but I
was
can't.
just not.
I can't give it
But
to her,
yeah,
man.
and
We love
again,
her.
I said it probably early this season or late last season that that character gets nailed with a lot of stuff because it's the only female character, and so they
Oh,
dump
they
a
have
lot of
nowhere
stuff
else
on
to go with it.
her. Right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um,
It's not really fair.
but all the work, and I know you didn't like the Jack Chenault stuff, but all the work they did where it felt like she had
Well,
learned
be
lessons
healthier.
from the past and all that stuff and made wise decisions, and then all this happens. So it's okay. It's all, none of it's going to run into the next episode, but
I'm very excited about the season 3 opener. I want to
the
see
Alaskan
the
the Alaskan
continuity.
cruise. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is totals and recap for this week.
Let me check the old mailbag real quick. No email this week. You can email us at theloveboat@gmail.com. Anything to plug this week, Mike?
Yeah, Absolutely Hammered will be back in 2025. We have wrapped up for 2024 with our holiday episode, but we'll be looking ahead to the baseball season. So you can find that on the Hitting Season podcast Patreon.
Excellent. And you can find us anywhere and everywhere you find your audio podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, Podchaser, Player FM, and my favorite, Deezer. Love Deezer. Please hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It really, really helps. You can also check out our video podcast on YouTube. Again, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Love Boat Project. Look for weekly reels and updates.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who's been engaging on the Instagram, especially. We really enjoy doing the reels. But really like the comments that we get there about the episodes. We will be getting into some of those on our next episode because I did not pull them for this one. But I do appreciate everybody catching stuff that we did not, because as long as we can go on an episode, there's always stuff you're going to miss, right? So this is such an intricately plotted episode.
It is.
Of television that there's going to be things we miss.
But we appreciate your feedback. Next episode, Mike.
I think I looked ahead a little bit.
Well, I got 3 points for next episode.
Okay, go for it.
We meet an amputee. We meet a dreamboat named Paul Dunbar. And we welcome Dr. Joyce Brothers to the boat.
I saw that. So the note that I had is apparently Mr. Captain Merrill Stuving gets a lucrative offer to leave the ship.
What if it's like an indecent proposal and he's on the pit with all the dollars?
It's Raymond Burr.
That's what it is.
In all seriousness, this is our last episode of 2024, and we appreciate everybody listening throughout the year. It's been a great year. I would like to ask you, Mike, do you remember what the first episode we released of 2024 was?
The first episode of 2020.
Yeah, it feels like years ago. Probably because we recorded it before 2024, but
I can't remember.
I believe you would remember Congressman John Wickham and Dick Van Patten.
Who could forget DBP?
Batman Carruthers. And that feels like so long ago. Yeah. We are now on the other side. We only have 8 episodes left for season 2, and then the stubbies. So we are in the home stretch. It's time to start getting your ballots ready, everybody.
No kidding.
And honestly, we haven't said this, but if you got some nominees you'd like to throw in there, we'll gladly take them. It occurred to me as I was watching this episode today that the best actress category might be a little thin this year. So
yeah. Hey, I'm open to category suggestions and
absolutely.
or award winner suggestions.
Yeah, as prestigious and perfect as the first stubbies were, we can always add. We're adding some for this year. We have the best duo. We have the Norman Fell Award.
Norman Fell Award. Yeah, we got some new stuff coming.
So, but that's a long time. That's all. That's in May. We have plenty
Yeah,
of
we got
stuff
plenty of
before
time
then.
until
Yeah.
then. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to spending time with you next time. Thanks again, Mike.
You
Happy New
too.
Year, and we'll see you next time.